Good day, and welcome to Far Reaches. We are four people from similar parts of the world who have wound up chasing different dreams and living different lives. We are Richard, Raleigh, Joel, and Micah. Richard and Micah are from Southeast Oregon, from two small ranching communities known as Pine Creek and Plush. Raleigh and Joel are from Northeast Oregon, from the Pendleton area. We met through college, mutual friends, and heard of stories of each other. Somehow wound up being at the same place at the same time. See, we live and work in different parts of the U.S. now and have all taken different paths to get to where we are. We all talk separately and live far apart. So we decided we should try and talk more together. We hope you come along and enjoy. Wow. We're coming to you live. We're just jumping right into our conversation, folks. Welcome to Far Reaches, because this shit's hot off the press. It's rolling already. We're talking about your vaccine passport for travel. So, Richard, bring us up to speed.
Oh, so a lady in my office is flying to Wyoming for Easter, and she is taking her documentation that she has the vaccine. I thought it was for the flight, but she's also going up to stay in Jackson Hole, so maybe that's why she needs it. But yeah, so she feels as though she needs to take documentation to travel that says that she got the vaccine.
Interesting. Yeah, I got your documentation fucking right here. Yeah,
they're talking about. So there's like some articles on the internet. The White House has a plan for a vax pass. I like how they've shortened it, made it sound all cute.
Oh, it's neat. Yeah, I can't wait to get
a vax
that.
pass.
Yeah.
It'll be useful at work, school, and especially for travel.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do in that case. Did you see the Johnson and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Because
and then in the New York Post today, there was a guy that like all of his skin fell off. It's like a rare reaction. I mean,
was he like really red? Like it looked awful. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't click on it. It was like a rare response, and I was like, negative, Goat Rider. Yeah, that looks awful. Yeah.
Canada banned the AstraZeneca one.
AstraZeneca.
Yeah, because women in the age 18 to 35-year-old age brackets are getting blood clots and dying. They don't know that it's attributed to that right now, but they think it may be.
That's probably a pretty important segment of the population too.
Turns out, yeah.
Women 18 to 35. It's like arguably this second most important segment of the population.
Besides men 18 to 35, is that what you're saying?
only the future of your economy.
Yeah. Again, for a disease that's got 99% survivability, and
Raleigh looks upset.
Excuse my
see his hat? Like it's popped clear above his head. Yeah.
When in the fuck are people gonna wake up and call bullshit? It's fucking nuts. I don't get it. It's just
you see that I saw another stat today that 80% of the people who died of the Rona, God knows if you can really calculate that, were considered obese or extremely old, or sometimes both. Yeah.
Well, we got since we talked last time, I local celebrity down around the Great Basin. He's in Butte with with COVID. He's in bad shape. He's been on a ventilator. So we sort of live in an interesting time where it is very real.
Yes.
And like a lot of people are going to get it and they're going to recover from it. But the people that do get it, it's pretty bad and it's very costly. And so like he was so unstable that they couldn't fly him to Butte and out of Butte. But I think he's going to recover. I think he's on the mend. Sounds good anyway. But
that
it really didn't, as much as I knew the guy, and maybe Micah, will you post the GoFundMe thing in the show?
Yeah, I will. That's a good point.
He did have underlying conditions that caused him to be more susceptible to it, and it's a bad deal when you get it, but it's just I think even him would I think he probably would have got the vaccine just because of the different classes that he falls into that make him more susceptible to COVID. But I don't think he'd be thinking that he needed to take a documentation that he had the vaccine to go to a ranch rodeo or something. Probably be the last person on the face of the earth that would even bother with that. So
I've never said it's not impacting people. It's not impacting near as many people as I think people like to think it is. And those that do get it don't seem to have the response that everybody seems to think should happen. And again, it just seems to be it's definitely been turned into about power. And especially with I think it was just yesterday? I think it was yesterday that our esteemed leader was begging all the states to enact the mask rule again, and for no real apparent reason. There's no spiking deaths anywhere or sickness anywhere or anything else. And then the classic line, this isn't political, folks. I'm probably going to disagree with you on that. Yeah.
What's the shell game? What's he hiding?
Oh, it's about control. I don't know, man.
It's a distraction.
It's about dividing too. Yeah.
What was your man DeSantis came out today and said, "Yeah, no, we're not participating in any passport things."
No, not at all. Yeah, no passports. None of that shavik.
Ordered right off the table. We're not doing that. And then the CDC lady came on and almost broke out bawling, pleading with people not to travel for spring break. So
yeah, and this place is a nut to butt down here, dude. Like, it's Florida. I just saw a note today they're expecting full crowds for football this fall. I just saw that. I'm thinking about going to a baseball game in Tejas because the Red Sox playing the Rangers, and it's full wide open stadium. We're way off the track, but I don't care. Anyways, we're having fun. I've been watching the basketball tournament. So these people have been basically sequestered for the most part in Indianapolis. They're playing in their little herds. They play basketball together. Yet people on the sideline wearing a mask for some stupid reason, even though they're tested every single day and they're around each other all the time. And I can guarantee you when they're not on the court, like if they're in the locker room, I don't think anybody's probably wearing a mask. And half the time the coach pulls it down to yell at somebody, talks for a while, and then he puts it back up, just like on football on the sidelines. And it's like they're getting tested continually.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting sick, and yet they're still doing that.
Goes back to with when Rand Paul was actually talking to Fauci.
Yeah.
And referred to it as it's a theater.
Theater.
And that's 100% of the theater. And by forcing it on television, I feel like there's just making a conspiracy theory out of anybody who gives it any bit of critical thought.
Absolutely.
What are they trying to do here? They're not fooling it. It's like obvious. It's not even. Can't even be I'm not even sure it's a conspiracy at this point. It's just like you guys are up to something.
Yes.
We know what you're up to, and it's working. Unfortunately. For
now,
on like over half the population, it is working on them.
Yeah, and then you see the constant barrage. If you see any post online that mentions anything to do with the Rona or anything whatsoever, there's instantly the CDC banner on the bottom of that post, and half the time it has nothing to do with it, anyways. And then what I was going to say this for grinds my gears, but that ship sailed. They have these down home fucking countrified commercials on the radio and the TV all the time. Like, hey, y'all, just keep your distance and wear your mask. And I'm just like, oh my, it just makes me boil when I hear that. I'm like, how placating can that be? Like a person listening to this commercial shouldn't even know the word placating. They're using it against us. Like you just have to stop and go, wait a minute. This just does not add up at all. This is a bad, bad movie. Rolls, I think you got spaghetti in your microphone, Rolls.
No, I'm on mute. There we go. I wasn't wanting to share my spaghetti that much with you guys, so I put
Bill might want some. Yeah.
Have you ever watched many documentaries on World War era with Hitler
Yeah.
and all the loudspeakers he used to put on the towns and all the dictation that he did and indoctrinated people with all that information he wanted them to hear, and he forced them to hear it
Continually. You say it enough till it becomes true.
turn on mainstream news and mainstream media.
Yeah. It's Hanoi Hannah do too. It's like when Vietnam, like,
Yeah.
just constant barrage of, if we say it, it makes it true. And we see that all the time, not just with this virus stuff, but, white supremacy, angry male shooter, critical race, whatever, it's just insurgency. One day of demonstration, well, granted, it gets a little out of hand, and that's an insurgency. An entire summer of burning shit and killing people is mostly peaceful protests. Just think about it, and it's continually repeated, the same words on every freaking channel, every freaking time. And then people just like, oh, it's got to be true, and then it's part of our ether, if you will.
Not mine.
No, negative Go Rider. What do you think, Brad Burr? Look at you, just like, holy shit, what kind of bee's nest do we kick over here?
I'm always anxious to hear what Richard has to say.
Oh, I don't even watch the news.
Neither.
I just read a great book by James Altucher. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him. He lives there in New York.
No, I don't. No.
He wrote he wrote an article that Jerry Seinfeld felt obligated to write an op-ed in about the downfall of New York and
That guy owns the Stand Up New York, which is a tiny little nice. It's a little comedy club that was literally around the corner from where I lived on the Upper West Side for a couple of years, and I'd go there a lot, just like drink. I know that place very well. Awesome. He owns it, but anyway, he's also not very popular in the comedy world. But.
He just bought it, I think, in the last 2 years, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
He's sort of a fascinating guy. He's learning how to be a comedian, and to force himself to get better, he goes on the subway trains and does stand-up comedy. Anyway, but he's had many failed, and I'll get back to my point here. Let me get back on track. Anyways, I read this great book. It's called Skip the Line, and he's worried that this COVID thing is basically obliterate the middle class, and that people are going, when there's not going to be, a lot of people will have to drop all their, what they believed was the proper, how would you say it? They have to drop everything that they've been taught all their lives if they're going to survive going forward. And like watching the news, trusting the news, trusting the institutions like the government, that kind of stuff.
Way ahead of you, yeah.
He says you have to trust them, or you need to not trust them.
You need to switch that, yeah.
Rewire your brain, because the people that you traditionally were the ones looking out for you are no longer doing that. And
right.
Yeah. So anyways, it's a great book. I'd highly suggest it. It's called Skip the Line. And I've read his other stuff. This is probably one of the best things he's ever written, and just really good from beginning to end.
Cool.
So, but as far as symbolism, I think it's tremendously important. Obviously, I think that Hitler had more of an advantage because mass media was just sort of started in its fledgling state, and capitalism wasn't jacked up to 300%. So I think while everybody thinks you fear socialism and you fear all that kind of stuff, I think capitalism is so entrenched in the world right now that it's gonna, I mean, I posted about this on Facebook. I went to a bar in Baker City. There was 22 taps and 4 beers on available at all. And I don't really dig that. And I think that's something that sort of bugs me. But when you can't when Domino's only has 3 things of pizza because they can't get enough food to make a variety of pizza, and when Nike can only make 4 or 5 pairs of different shoes, and you can only get Wranglers for 6 months out of the year versus the pants that you like to wear, and on and on. Hell, I can't even get cowboy boots, and they can't get beer in Lakeview. I mean, our changes in our society are happening very slowly, and we're adapting, and we're getting used to it. But I don't buy the boiling a frog in water thing. Just slowly turn it up. Eventually, people are going to go, wait a minute. 2 years ago, we were living in this wonderful juggernaut of economy. We could get everything we wanted. We could go anywhere we wanted in the world. We had all these luxuries and we had all these freedoms, and we voted like assholes. And we voted it all away. And they're like, this isn't the paradise that we thought it was going to be. And they're going to like, give me back my 22 different taps of beer. I'm not putting up with this bullshit anymore. And having lived in Russia, where you get what you get, that gets freaking old when you come from the United States, and they get used to it and they live with it. But I don't think people in the United States are going to go for that. So
no, it's gonna keep impacting people in a different way till it gets personal for more people, I think.
I just don't think that socialism has a chance of working. I think this is the last big push for it. But I think that capitalism is turned way too high up for it to take hold. I think a lot of people like the idea of socialism, but in the end, they like the idea of being able to go down to the store and pick out 15 different types of Mountain Dew.
I feel like it's a little too late. Not maybe the social aspect of socialism, but like the you need a certain economy of where you're funding everybody. We're past the point where capitalism can function properly anymore. We're on a trajectory of you either have to keep printing money or we're all fucked. Well, maybe not all of us, but the people that are, making paycheck to paycheck to get by, they're kind of fucked. Everybody else might be all right.
Well, we'll have a facsimile of a capitalist society, with the underpinnings being completely false paper tigers because of our inflation we're at right now. But and maybe that's
tell you what,
go ahead.
Capitalism
properly depressing.
Really fast.
Thank you. Yeah. What was that, Richard?
You can fix it really fast if you outlawed every lobbyist that ever walked on Capitol Hill and people didn't get paid to vote. Capitalism would work a hell of a lot better if everybody was on an equal playing field. But when major corporations can buy their way into a market and then control the market, that's not how capitalism works.
So exactly believe that right. If it's a true open market, yeah.
And I can't say unreined, untethered capitalism is the answer. I can't go that far. There needs to be a certain amount of regulations, but you shouldn't be able to go to Senator Yahoo from Nebraska and give him $350,000 so he changes his vote so that your telecom company doesn't have to compete with the one from the state north of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think part of that goes back to term limits too, where it's more of like I think it should be like jury duty, man. Like, oh shit, I got drawn for rep. Like seriously, I mean that's the case, or one and done, and that's the other bag of hair we've gotten ourselves into. Is like somehow we've let it happen that they forgot that they work for us, and now they're in charge of their own wages, and they're going to vote themselves out of office. Highly unlikely,
Well, there's another interesting way of doing voting or picking leadership, and some people you can choose to be an elected official, or people can nominate you, and then they have a lottery system. Mm-hmm. And then if your name comes up in the lottery, then you can run for office, and then people vote for you. And then you can't run again. If you want to run again the next time, you have to win the lottery the next time. So it always keeps changing people up. So anyway.
I think it's going to be like American Idol in about another 25 years, where we all just vote on our app about things that come across the screen all day long.
It's kind of interesting to think if you just
what
because
do you think?
Government's just always been part of our life, but like I was thinking about this the other day with Elon Musk wanting to colonize Mars. Imagine you set up a community on Mars. And I was like, well, I was thinking, what country is that? Well, it's no countries. It's new. Maybe is it part of the United States?
No country for Mars men.
Sorry, who gets to decide if at all there is a government? What are the rules on Mars, right?
I think it's whoever gets there makes the rules.
So if you go
Basically.
back in Earth history long enough, like, why did we ever even bother making fucking rules? You're born, and then you got somebody in your ear being like, "Yeah, you can't do that." Like, why can't I? I'm here. I can do whatever I want.
Apparently somebody wanted to get laid at some point and they started listening to people that were bitching at them about something. I don't know, because either that or the dude that was like, well, if I make this and if you don't do this, then I won't sell it to you or I won't give it to you. I don't know why we ever got to the point where like why we need laws. I know we had.
I mean, like the complex laws, like taxation and that stuff. I get like the local sheriff, the townspeople say you can't come in here and shoot people, or we'll
take it back
you.
to the very beginning. Like, okay, so we have our little township we've built here. Okay, the road going to your house is total dog shit, Joel. You got to fix it. Well, I'm not the only one who uses that road. Okay, well then, you know, every whatever we'll take a little bit out and then we'll put some money in a little deal and we'll go fix that road.
Why do you need to fix it? Just you should have put your house in a better spot.
You moved there, and since I built a huge lumber mill down the road from your shitty house, I'm using all the road up, and so not really your fault, you know. But I bought that land. I went and cleared that land off, and I'm selling timber, and it's going right past your shithole, and I'm tearing up your road, but I'm not paying for it.
Well, why won't the timber come in? They need the roads more than I need the road.
I don't care. I don't care if it's rough. I got big old trucks. I don't care if it's rough or not. But your little scooter gets high centered in the middle of the street.
All right. I'm sorry. I didn't know you're so liberal. Here, have my money.
Neither did I. But I mean, you think about it, like, it's almost like roommates, dude. Think about it. You got 4 people living in a house. Like, all right, are we gonna, you know, do we want to push it all in together for food? Or are we gonna do our own? How are we paying the rent? You know, that's, if you really would take it down, boil it down to the simplest level, that's kind of where it begins. And it just keeps getting more clustered up from there. Like,
here's one for everybody to think about. So in America, we vote for high environmental standards. We vote for agricultural regulations. We vote for the USDA. We vote to have our meat inspected. We vote to have our vegetables inspected.
When's the last time you had a meat inspected, Richard? Never mind.
Anyways, we vote all these safeguards in our own domestically, and then we immediately turn around and let all these products from outside the country that don't have to be, that don't have the same scrutiny that we have in the United States. And then we make our own farmers and agriculture people compete against people that aren't hindered by what the American population is voting for, what they say the food system they want. So all these people that make these votes to have these high environmental standards and have the greatest, safest food system in the world, they then turn around and buy something from Uruguay, and they vote their values, but they don't pay for the values with their paycheck that they voted for. So that's one of the places where the capitalism and the economy is broken. People should live by what they vote, and there shouldn't be a loophole. This is especially important in food and in steel and in timber and in all sorts of different stuff. What you vote for is what you should have to pay for, and you shouldn't be able to outsource things from other countries just to get around paying for what your value vote was.
Basically, you have to live with your consequences instead of like, that seems nice in theory or good, you know, it's good for you, but not for me, which seems to be definitely prevalent a lot of times. And almost to the degree where we see people, gosh, we are just absolutely epileptic scattering tonight. It's beautiful. People leave in California because it's absolutely upside down assholishness, and they're going to other states. What's the first thing they're doing when they get there? They're Californian the shit out of those places too. It's like you just left there because you made it uninhabitable. And the first thing you do when you get to Boise or Austin or Reno is put the same stupid things in place because they sound kind of neat, but then you don't want to put them in practice. Like, you're going to run out of places to go eventually. Like, you're going to get to the border and somebody's going to be waiting with a shotgun saying, take your ass somewhere else, man. You're not hosing up my town. It's the same kind of thing. You vote in these they sound special and all, and then that's for somebody else to worry about. And that doesn't really apply to me. Which don't work.
Lobbyists.
Not only that, it's morons throughout the system.
What is that? Turtles on top of turtles on top of turtles. Infinity. It's just
You say
asshole.
turtles all the way down.
Yeah,
That's by Sturgill.
all
Yeah.
the way down. That's what our government is. So
Are you talking about the Sturgill Simpson song, Joel?
Well, yeah, but that's also just a saying, right?
I never heard that before I heard the song. I don't know as much about turtles as I should, I guess.
I actually don't really fully understand the saying. Is it's just foolishness when you stack turtles on top of each other? It's a fragile system, or what?
I always heard it was like, you see that, like it's like a turtle on top of a fence post. That was always compared to Obama. You know, like you're not sure how it got there, doesn't know what to do once it got there. You're not sure why it is there. You know, like it's just there.
Right. Let's not badmouth Obama right now.
it's
Basically,
Why not?
basically
I think I would have had enough. He's the one running the country anyways. What are you worried about? Like,
Yeah, his hands up Biden's ass.
No, it's not.
dude, come on.
All right, back to the turtle thing. We can get into Obama.
Screw the damn turtles.
It's about the galaxies or multi-dimensions. It's like the turtle's supposed to represent Earth, and then the turtles on top of the turtles for infinity is multiple dimensions. That's what it is.
Far out, man. That was a drug induced.
I think it came from not Timothy Leary, but the other crazy McGibbons.
Oh, it's out there. Yeah, I tell you.
Yeah.
I just know that Sturgill Simpson song. Yeah. Turtles all the way down. Yeah.
Dude, everybody should watch that Post Malone cover of the Sturgill song.
Yeah.
I've actually thought Post Malone was like I've liked him. I don't like that type of music typically, but he always struck me as he's got a good voice and he seems like a cool guy. And then he comes out and he covers Sturgill. I was right. This guy is awesome.
Yeah, when he first came out, I was like, look at this wing ding. Then I actually heard some of his interviews and some of the things that he was saying and involved in. I was like, huh. The guy's just kind of figured it out, you know? So carry on. But yeah, he waylaid that song, man. It was awesome.
So Turtles All the Way Down is an expression of the problems of infinite regress. Infinite regress is a series of entities governed by a recursive. Never mind. This is Turtles All the Way Down because every time you read a definition, you got to read another key word in that definition because you don't know what it means.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I think that might be Turtles All the Way
that's
Down.
Turtles
right
all the way down right there.
Like
Wow,
it was theorized by stoners.
have to be. Yeah. But the Post Malone cover, there was a recent fundraiser for Tejas, the state of Texas, put on by Matthew McConaughey on the Facebook. And all right, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Yeah, and so Post Malone, like in the closing credits, like he covered one of Sturgill songs that he doesn't sing anymore. Roughly, you can have the crown, but it's the King of Shit Mountain. Great song, and he just absolutely destroyed it. It was really cool. So if you get a chance, check that out. It was well done for sure. But yeah, well, you know, I guess welcome kids to the Far Reaches again. I'm glad you're still with us. Welcome back to another week of entertainment and fun. That's probably our that's usually about half of what we do before we usually hit record. So we thought, screw it, let's just hit record and let's capture some of the magic, if you will. So welcome back. But I think that's probably a really good segue into the entertainment spotlight for this week with Mr. Joel and our Mr. Willie Nelson's album, The Redheaded Stranger, which we were talking, just Richard and I were speaking right beforehand, before it all kicked off about that. And, you know, I was like, well, it's with a movie too, but the movie came out like 10 or 15 years after that, or 20 even. So yeah. Joel, why did you pick this particular album? And what'd you think? What it talked to you about?
I'll tell you, I picked it For I guess not a great reason. It's not like I think this. Not like I thought it was some incredible album. I'll tell you that for a lot of years I've wanted a good turntable setup with what's the thing you hook it up to? Receiver, speakers.
Gotcha.
I've always wanted a good setup, and it's just always been pretty expensive. So it costs a lot of money to do that.
To act poor. Yeah.
So I'd say for like 10 years I've wanted a good turntable, and then for some reason I just think like the one essential album I needed was Red-Headed Stranger, just because it's an iconic album, but I hadn't really ever listened to it. I did buy the album. I've listened to it a couple times, but I didn't really pay attention to it. I'd always hear like, oh, it's a concept album, but I never pay close enough attention to lyrics to get a sense of what even an individual song is about, let alone an entire album.
Which is pretty cool.
So I don't know. Yeah, I just thought that we should do something other than somebody else did. Well, we got into books, and then there's a podcast. We used to do movies back in the day. Remember?
Yeah. We'll circle back to that at some point. Yeah.
So I just thought an album would be cool.
Yeah, I was gonna do an album a while ago, and I got distracted with something else shiny. But I do think probably one of the coolest sounds would have to be Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain on like a record player. That probably has to sound pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Let me preface this more, and then we can talk about it. I mean, I'll say what I think the album's about, and then I think that deserves discussion, because I don't even know if I'm right. I've listened to it several times, followed along with lyrics, whatnot. But I think that the basics of the album is there's a guy that he's married to this woman, deeply in love with her. He suspects she's cheating. He comes home. She's not there. She's run off with the guy. His suspicion is confirmed. He thinks that maybe he still loves her. Ultimately, decides revenge is better. Tracks her down in Montana and finds her and her lover at a bar. Shoots them. Then he's kind of just a rambling man for a little. Not rambling man. I think that means something else. But I think he's like an outlaw, kind of. Goes around from place to place. Ultimately, kills some bar girl for touching his horse, or his wife's old horse. And then ultimately, I think at the end, he like meets somebody else maybe, and has a whole second part 2 of his life. And I took in the middle of the album, there's 2 instrumental songs right in a row. And I took that to mean sort of a symbolic baptism between his earlier life and his later life, where he, the first relationship, she cheated, he killed her. And then his second life is he found another partner. And I think one of those songs alludes to like him, his wife, and his kid underneath an oak tree fishing or something. Yeah, I think that's what the album is. I mean, did I miss something? Did I interpret it wrong? I couldn't really tell with the second half. I don't know what was going on. So when I think it's a concept album, it was weird. The concept to me means like there should be a pretty straightforward story. And I even think in this album, I don't think there's any deeper meaning behind the songs. I think he's trying to tell a story, but the songs don't quite add up perfectly. And I think that's interesting that they call this maybe one of the most iconic concept albums of all time. But it's probably, I mean, I haven't listened to a lot of them, but I get why it's important because it's Willie, but maybe it's just not really that good of a concept album, actually.
Well, I know Richard has some beautiful insight. I can tell by the look on his face, but something that just struck me when you were talking about that too, that was like, there's some missing parts or some missing pieces. That's how Willie plays a lot too. I think just his style of music, if you listen to how he plays, is sort of rambly, sort of missing at times. and that's very unique. And so maybe that was a conscious effort. That's just how he writes that all together. But as far as the story, I think he absolutely just nailed it. Yeah.
Well, I think there's two songs in particular: "Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain," one,
Mm-hmm.
and then also "Remember Me." If you look at the lyrics, I can't figure out how they fit in. They don't make sense in the story.
Richard. That's a good face.
Guys, you're gonna be so mad.
It's really about the post-industrial revolution.
No. This was the equivalent of John Wayne slopping the horse's ass for me.
Okay, we're listening.
All I heard was jazz, and I was like, "Oh, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. I like that one." And then, oh, there's a song called Bandera. I've been there. I listened to it twice, and I have to say, if I was locked in a room and had to listen to Willie Nelson, I would pick The Great Divide every time over that one. Shut Up, or what is it, Maria? Shut Up and Kiss Me.
Yeah.
I think one of Willie Nelson's best songs. And then Mariposa County Line is awesome. Yeah, but for me, Joel, this was my equivalent of whatever movie we watched that you thought John Wayne was gay.
McClintock. It's so funny. Like Joel just like.
Well, are you saying the sound?
The album is 34 minutes long. Joel took about 13 minutes to describe it. I mean, it's like that's how much he nailed this album. It's like almost to the letter. Richard's like, Blue Eyes is cool. I've been to that bar, but I don't like that. It's like that kills me, dude.
I so much appreciate it, Joel, and I don't want to dismean anything you put into it. And I think that your pick was inspired, but it just did not connect for me. I'm sorry.
Are you saying because of the sound? Like, it sounds like jazz? Is that what you're saying?
Those first couple of songs were pretty jazzy. It was definitely from like out of Willie's old playbook. I don't know what.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, like country music is inspired by jazz, right? Is that what they say? It kind of came out of that. And then Willie has a very unique.
Yes.
I hate it when I say very unique because nothing can be very unique. It's an unmodifiable adjective. It's either unique or it's not unique.
Yeah.
But the unique thing about Willie is his upbringing and where he went to Nashville and kind of got kicked out of Nashville because he didn't fit the mold.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up living in, I think, Austin, which is like a hippie place, but he had a Western influence. He has like the religious music background, and I think when he grew up around like a lot of like Mexicans and their music. I think he's probably just it's just an incredible combination of influences that brought him along. Probably too early.
I guess maybe I didn't appreciate it because my country music is Bakersfield country. I like Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Dwight Yoakam. I like that more with a little bit of I like that electric guitar. I mean, one of the greatest concerts I've ever seen in my life is Merle Haggard. I love Billy Joe Shaver.
But a lot of those guys wouldn't be who they are without Willie telling Nashville to go pound sand.
No, I respect everything that Willie Nelson has done, but I like that fast tempo country. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes even Johnny Cash gets slow for me.
Yeah. Was like, Billy Joe quick? I feel like Billy Joe
was like the Raleigh version of Willie. Yeah.
You talking like I took a fast train to Georgia. I ain't got no education. I got an 8th grade education.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie. And then so
who's the king of country? Like, well,
can you finish singing that for me, Richard?
Oh
no, please don't.
Baby. Who's that guy?
All night long. That guy?
Yeah, what's his name? I want to bop the king.
Oh, that was like, is that Michael Murphy?
Phones.
Is that Michael Murphy? I think.
No.
I'll let Raleigh weigh in, but just know that I'm probably a musical heathen because my go-to karaoke song is they're gonna make me a big star. So
Dan Seals.
Dan Seals. I was thinking the
Yeah.
guy that it was the old time country guy that went to the Rainbow, and he's been there. He's a big name. He's been to the Rainbow a couple times.
Dale Watson.
Dale Watson.
That's what I'm thinking. I think Dale Watson is more along the lines of Dwight Yoakam
He's got a.
than like Billy Joe Shaver, you know?
I'm sorry I'm laughing so hard at that because I'll never forget. We were at Semioti's. I think it was my birthday, maybe. Anyways, we were out for a shindig at Semioti's, and the Houchin boys were over from Milton Freewater, and there's about 15 of us at the back table. And somebody's like, well, we probably should get going in a few, like, Dale Watson's over at the Rainbow. And Pollo literally almost tips over like 3 tables shooting up at his shirt. Dale Watson! Ah! And he like literally like boils over the table and like throws money and goes out the door. And like the next thing you know, he's trying to be up on the stage with the bow singing with poor Dale. And it's just awful. But I'll never forget Dale Watson gone.
Who's this? Yo-Yo?
Pollo. His Christian name is Keith, I think. We call him Pollo because he hates chickens. But yeah, he was just gone, dude. He threw money and he was gone. That was it. Dale Watson. Yeah.
I think it was your birthday. I was there.
I think it was. Yeah. He was just gone. Next thing he's trying to sing. And he can actually sing a little bit, but he was too far gone at that point because he didn't know Dale Watson was there. So
and he only threw $2.50 for his $35 dinner.
35, yeah, just a tad bit more than that. I love it when I pay for his dinner at my birthday party. Yeah. That's how you know you're friends. Yeah. So yeah, Dale Watson's got that rockabilly kind of swing Texas kind of thing a little bit almost, but yeah. That's the thing about Willie. Like, I don't like a lot of his stuff. I like some stuff he did with Merle. I think Poncho Lefty's one of the coolest songs ever. I saw him and Merle playing Tejas, one of the last shows that Merle did. That was pretty cool. I like this album. I don't like the album. I like the concept of it and what it did and when it did it. I think that's really cool. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that Richard prefers Dwight Yoakam.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I respect Dwight Yoakam and I've seen him a few times. Like he actually played a free concert one summer on the Upper West Side at where the Juilliard School is.
Oh, wow.
Outdoor. And I got word of it that day. I heard about it and I just went and Dwight Yoakam. I stood right there in front. Watched him with like 300 people. It was amazing.
Wow.
But I respect him, but I don't love him. Like I think I love Willie, and that's interesting. That I think Richard maybe that's interesting how people diverge in.
Completely, yeah.
What they like.
I think a lot of Dwight's songs are just so West Coast. I mean, they're not necessarily Nashville. They're
totally out the Buck Owens vein, if you will, in the Merle, obviously huge influence. And I think as I've gotten older, I appreciate Dwight Yoakam more than I did before. And certainly, like, this sounds weird, but like Lyle Lovett, I used to just despise Lyle Lovett. And now, like, I saw him at Wild Horse quite a few years ago, and like in the big band or something. And I was like, that guy is just really good at what he does. Like, it's amazing how my ear had changed and what I appreciated about a musician, and not really, I don't know what it was beforehand, but I was like, screw that guy. But he's just a cool cat. And I think it's just like, it's one of my weirdest like epiphanies of like my shift in music and appreciation of artistry, if you will.
The Boat is a masterpiece.
Yeah, absolutely. Kiss my ass, I bought a boat. Yeah, that's now one of my, like, I really dig that song. Look at Rawls sitting there, his Canadian
Raleigh,
tuxedo
what do
on.
you think? What are your thoughts on old Willie Nelson there, Raleigh?
I always enjoy listening to Willie Nelson. My uncle was a big Willie Nelson fan, and growing up around him, he always had the cassette tape in his pickup, and Willie Nelson was always playing. And there's a lot of great songs he had. Nothing I Can Do About It Now, Angels Flying Too Close to the Ground. A lot of really good ones that I enjoyed. Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. I think you hit the plot dead on. You know, he was a preacher, killed his ex-lover and her new lover, and then was a fugitive on the run. And that's kind of the basis for it. It just brought back memories of being a kid listening to a Willie album for me. And I think anybody wants to kind of get grounded, go listen to any Willie or Merle or any of the good old music that was through the 70s and 80s. And that's America. You know, that's the way I look at it. I'm glad you recommended that, and I hope other people could listen to an artist like Willie, or could just find the enjoyment out of just listening to a story getting told in music. That's what country music's about. And it growing up on that stuff, it was just enjoyable to sit back and listen. So
like the song Crazy, like talk about good stories, like Crazy. That's just, man, when Patsy sings that, dude, that'll put you down.
The song Redheaded Stranger itself is an incredible song. Just that song alone, it could be a whole album.
Absolutely. No, I look where music's at today, country music in particular, and I feel like I'm at a Justin Bieber concert listening to it. You know, it's just a bunch of I enjoy that era of music that came from those artists that they weren't the mainstream country. They were more of the rebel country back then, and it resonates with country folk. I mean, Richard sat there and mentioned Merle Haggard. That's you talk about Merle and Willie in the same sentence, and those are two of the greatest country artists in the history of music, in my opinion. But
what about, I'm just curious about the opinion, thumbs up or thumbs down, Glenn Campbell?
Yeah.
Really, Joel? Or are you just doing that to be an a-hole?
No, I'm not. I liked his late in life Alzheimer's song, and I think he did a whole album. It was interesting when he was later in life. He had an interesting background, but I think his music in his prime was too much. It's too 70s and poppy. It was pop of the 70s, right?
It was
like Rhinestone Cowboy. Like, give me a fucking break.
You can't hold that one song against him. It's
like
a good song,
that is modern day Sam Hunt. That's what. If you were alive back then,
whore mouth.
And if you were a purist in the 70s and you heard Rhinestone Cowboy, you'd be like, "Oh, Jesus Christ! Give me Waylon."
The song was kind
Merle,
of pointing a little bit of fun at that whole thing.
You could have said the same thing about Kenny Rogers, though.
Totally.
But yeah, people do. Kenny Rogers was a fraud.
He came from.
He's not one of the great country western musicians. Not at all.
Not Kenny.
You would find some argument in that with some sectors.
I mean, for where he came from, he was pop. Kenny Rogers was pop, and then he shifted over. But like Glenn, I think when he sang Rhinestone Cowboy, I think they paid him to be. He was kind of poking fun at that whole, I guess, craze at that time. But again, one song I don't think defines an artist, but like Wichita Lineman, dude, that's like one of my favorite songs of all time. That's just a great song.
That's him? I thought that was
No, that's definitely Glenn.
I have that song on my list, but I don't have Glenn Campbell's version.
Cover.
Yeah, you do. Glenn sang it first. I used to drive. I was good friends with the DJ at the local radio station in college in LeGrand. And every time I'd see him out like Friday night, he's like, "Mike, you got a song you want to hear?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, dude. Wichita Lineman." He's like, "No, I get angry. People I'm like, come on, man, you got to play it for me." So he would. Andrew Holt was his name. Saturday mornings. This one goes out to Micah. Wichita Lineman. Yeah.
I have song. James Taylor's version. Written by Jimmy Webb. Jimmy Webb was like an old-timey country singer, wasn't he?
As Leonard Skinner says about James Taylor, that good old Southern boys don't even want him around.
This is why music's so much fun, because everybody has such a a different, like Rawl said, memory, what it reminds you of what it is for you. That's the cool thing.
I can tell you right now that Chris Ledoux is way too sophisticated for Joel.
Oh yeah. No way Joel could be hooked on an 8-second ride, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. I really like Chris Ledoux. Big fan of Chris Ledoux.
How about Chris Christopherson?
I like his songwriting. I don't like him as a performer at all.
Oh, but he's so cool. I mean, you gotta like him.
Right? They tried to push him on. I just took it as too much being pushed on me. I didn't like his acting. I didn't like his singing. Like Sunday Morning Coming Down is one of the coolest, most badass songs ever written. No doubt about it. But I just don't like Chris, man. I've learned
like, with the Highwayman, when you got Willie, Waylon,
Johnny,
who else was in it? Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson. Those other guys are such big personalities, and I think Chris Christopherson's left behind. But he could have either failed completely because like he's the least famous one, but he went off and did his own thing.
No, the guy is incredibly smart. He has an amazing background. Like I just don't like him as a singer. Yeah,
undoubtedly the best songwriter amongst them, bro.
Oh, no doubt, dude. I don't doubt it for a second. I just don't like his singing. Like songwriting, hard to beat. Story, amazing. Where he come from, like intelligent level, off the charts. But I just don't like his singing.
Landing a helicopter on Johnny Cash's lawn in Nashville.
Yeah,
is one of the best Western stories ever.
What?
We got two
songwriters,
country and Western.
What is Willie Nelson's best song in everybody's opinion?
7 Spanish Angels.
Oh, that's a good one.
7 Spanish Angels.
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna look up what songs I have of his.
I just like Pancho and Lefty, man. I think it just tells a cool story about times changing and friends. And that's cliched as hell, but yeah.
Oh, you know who I grew up on? Monty Robbins. He has some good ones.
Rawls, what was your song?
I'm gonna throw one out that it's kind of gets lost, but Uncloudy Day.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You overlook it, but that was a really good Willie Nelson song.
He's got a lot of great songs.
I don't know that one, Raleigh. What was it called again?
Uncloudy Day.
I'll look that. I'll download that and listen to it. I don't think I know that one. I think out of my list that I'm looking at, I think my favorite on the list is Georgia on My Mind.
Or always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
Well, Whiskey River was a great one too.
Whiskey River's really good. Yeah.
No, I'm not thinking always on my mind. I'm thinking
Georgia.
The one that Ray Charles remade. Georgia.
Yeah. Heroes have always been cowboys, Good-Hearted Woman. There's just a shit ton of them, but yeah.
You could list 20 of them that every one of us have heard before and go, oh, that was a really good one too. That was
Bloody Mary Morning, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just for the era that
Last Thing I
we
Needed.
all grew up. Oh, The Last
Thing
I Needed was a great song.
Yeah. I'm cheating because I'm looking on his songs, but yeah.
One of the dark horses is Mariposa County Line.
Mariposa County Line's a great song.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would encourage anybody that doesn't have one of his albums to go out and buy his greatest hits.
This essential.
If you have a whole month to spare to listen to music, you should listen to Willie Nelson's catalog. There's so many. I actually thought for a long time that Redheaded Stranger. For a long time, I thought that was his first album. But I was reading it was his 18th.
But I'm looking at it right now.
Late career.
Alphabetically arranged, he has 337 songs that are on albums.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I thought it'd be way more than that.
Yeah, there is. But this Willie Nelson Essentials is one I just randomly picked out. And there's like 31 songs on that. I'm looking on iTunes. That's pretty. Those are all pretty damn good. Yeah. So I won't argue that, Joel. Yeah, if you had a month just to listen to one catalog of music, starting with day one. Yeah. When you see old pictures of him when he was first coming up, it was black suit and tie, clean shaven, short hair. singing his little hearts out. Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, he's been old. He's been old forever.
When
He
it'll
played
be
with
a
Sorry, Rolly, go.
oh, I was just gonna say it'll amongst music radio, no different than when Merle died, the day that Willie died.
Yeah.
Every radio station will tribute to that man, I believe.
Moreover, everybody that I've found in New York City, when I first moved here, I would find a very common thing I would see, like especially on like dating sites, was like, "What's your favorite kind of music?" It would be anything but country, or anything but country except for Johnny Cash. After Johnny Cash died,
Mhm.
Willie Nelson's going to be another one of those people where people who currently say they hate country, you're going to suddenly see them say, "I hate country except for Willie Nelson." Like, you only like Willie Nelson because you finally heard him. Imagine if you heard everybody else right now, if you weren't so prejudiced against country music.
Yeah, I think you think that's dwindling some though? Even though, because some of it's due to the modern influence of that shit they call country, but I think people are maybe looking back and appreciating some of that a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's become, over the last 5 years, I'd say it's become kind of cool to dig old country,
to discover and kind of be like, check this out. And that's
yeah,
from,
guys, look
like,
who I
people
found,
buy
this
LPs.
woman named Tanya Tucker.
Yeah, can you believe that? Like, let's go Patsy Cline, man, she's great. Like, yeah, have you ever heard of Etta James? I know she's not country, but it's one of my favorite singers of all time.
Just wait till you fuckers get around to Vince Gill, man.
Dude, if that's not a coffee mug or a t-shirt right there, it's Joel's picture like that. Wait till you fuckers get around to Vince Gill. Yeah, like, yeah, I'm gonna sprinkle some Ricky Skaggs on your ass, dude. Yeah.
It's kind of actually disgusting a little bit to hear the praise for Dolly Parton right now. Have you noticed that over the last like 6 months?
Shut your mouth.
No, I like
really.
Dolly Parton fine, but it annoys me that suddenly everybody else, when I say everybody else, I'd say like liberals on social media have discovered Dolly Parton.
No, that's too bad.
And over the last like year, and they
Well, she donated $1 million
it.
to the Rona. Miley Cyrus is like her goddaughter. I think that's probably part of it. But yeah, when you're like, this kind of pisses you off when everybody's like, "Oh," you're like, you don't even know, you turn into a music snob.
My favorite meme.
Talk about cultural appropriation.
My favorite meme of 2020 was Billie Eilish took 6 months to write during quarantine during COVID to write her last #1 hit.
Are you talking about Billie Eilish?
Billie Eilish,
whatever her name is.
Name one of her songs. Anyways, this guy wrote, "Well, hell, Dolly Parton wrote Jolene and I Always Love You at a bar in one day."
Some good napkins to have, wouldn't they be? Yeah. That's awesome.
But we should talk. This could be a common theme that we could talk about, is the downfall of country music on the radio.
I don't even listen to it, man.
Like on my app, if I'm just like, I can't hit shuffle on my phone because there's too many songs that pop up that like I don't want to hear that right now. So I'll just go to like the country playlist on Apple Music or something, and there's just so much crap on there. Like,
no, if I listen to Apple Radio, which is kind of like, it'd be like the same thing like on Pandora or Spotify, but like I'll listen to like, hey, play Whiskey Myers radio, and so it plays, Whiskey Myers, Sturgill, Randy Rogers, Jason Boland. So it's that red dirt vein, which I really, really dig. So that's what I listen to if I'm listening to music throughout the day, not a specific playlist. That keeps me sane. Yeah.
I'm really into Dead South right now. I like this resurgence of guys with raspy voices coming back.
That's why I like Sturgill. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's why I really like Zach Brown Band.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy has a really unique voice and they don't tune it at all.
I'll give you that. Yeah. Cody Johnson, Zach Brown. Yeah. All those guys tell some good stories.
Randy Rogers or Zach Brown? Zach Brown has a very smooth James Taylor almost-esque voice. Randy Rogers is
He's a little raspy, but not too much. Cody Jinks is one of those guys that got a little rasp to him.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh.
Another
Really
good. Just because we don't have the albums anymore and we don't have videos like we used to, but another like underappreciated band I think is Honey Honey.
Fucking love Honey Honey. I've seen them several times here.
Josh
in
Abbott,
small crowds.
Yeah,
awesome.
there's a lot of that good stuff. Yeah.
Well, one concert I went to with Honey Honey, Richard, was at the Bowery Ballroom, and you know the lead singer girl, she's very pretty. Her dress strap broke, so it came down. Her right tit was exposed for a whole song. She had like a real lacy bra. She was aware of it, but a Honey Honey concert though is pretty funny in New York. It's like 90% lesbian women, I would say.
Like country Lilith Fair is what you're saying.
But Honey Honey, I'm with Richard, man. They're a killer band. Yeah, like
I've heard a little bit, but I need to explore deeper, I believe. Yeah. So
it's just badass. I think that I do miss I think it was the cool part about Joel's thing this week was it was the album. And with the world that we live in, it's singles, and you don't get like some of I hate to bring up Dwight Yoakam again, but like some of Dwight Yoakam's best songs are from the second side of the album, like 1,000 Miles from Nowhere, Wild Ride. I mean, those
1,000 Miles, love that song.
Yeah, but those were on the second side of the album. They were on when you flip the cassette over. And then I think the thing that I like about Lyle Lovett is he did a cover of just songs that were on the second side of albums.
That's he made the way that album. Rolls.
He made a whole album of B-side songs. So that's just The
man's a menace. Well, Raleigh's fixing to snore, so we're gonna shift gears. I shifted up the. We're gonna go to our. Let me give a quick plug for our sponsor too, B&K, since we kind of just. We hit the ground running. So thanks again to B&K Auto Salvage for putting up with us and helping sponsor this mess and being our proud partners. So if you guys, they're still doing promo code Reacher. So stop by if you want to get some parts or get a little bit of discount on that. If you're getting some scrap, they'll give you a little bit of bump in the price for that as well. So again, thanks to our really good friends at B&K Auto Salvage in LeGrand and Baker City. So we're going to go to the intellectual moment of the week by our good friends at Pendleton Mixer and Cigar in scenic, beautiful downtown Pendleton. This week, I just shifted gears. I said, we're going to do something different. Doesn't have to necessarily be overly intellectual, but it's based on some stuff that's been happening recently in the news and is going to continue, I think, to be a topic. And so it's a question for the group to discuss and throw shit at each other over. And the question is simple. Should you have to show ID to vote in U.S. elections? That's our intellectual moment of the week. And Raleigh, did you give it a neck dart or something? Are you okay? Can you blink Morse code? Are you there? Okay. Are you getting like a foot massage or something we can't see? You're like in a coma.
No, I'm just relaxing, listening, and got a dog over here with a head on the edge of the chair, and I'm petting her.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I could tell something's going on. So yeah, anyways, should you have to show ID to vote? I would say you bet your ass. That's my opinion. Joel?
I would like to say no, but I can't see a path where that is a reasonable, safe thing to do. I think if you want to keep your election safe, you have to. We either need to take elections online through a blockchain or something, or I mean, I don't think it's a hindrance.
Not at all.
To have to show your ID. Like
no,
we're talking about you have to get a COVID passport to fly, or you got to get a COVID passport to go into a restaurant. Like you can at least show your ID to show up and cast a vote. I don't get why it's racist either.
That in itself is beyond racist, because you think, well, it's racist because you have to have ID. And of course, black people don't have ID.
Sure, they do.
And you're like, what are you
These-
talking about? Like,
What, are they too stupid to have an ID? Is
that's
that
their
what they're
point, is like they're
Oh.
inadvertently saying, you poor
So-
dumb people, you don't even have
It
ID.
is the racism. What do they call it? The racism of low expectations, or something.
Yes, it's beyond mind blowing that they think that is racist. Like, oh, you poor people, you can't even have an ID. It's so complex, you know, that there's no way you could even have it, you know.
Yeah, and then in Georgia, they're like, you can't get food or drink in line,
Yeah,
like,
I've looked that
and
up.
they're like, that's racist. Like, do like black people go to the voting line for snacks?
So that's one
I
separate
don't
topic,
think
but I want
so.
to touch on that Georgia thing because that's what spawned this. The thing about not having food or drink in the line is you can't be of a partisan group handing out food or water in the line when people are voting. You have to be at least 150 feet away, like most states already have in place. Like the voting booth itself, or the system, they can have water out, all that stuff. It just can't be like vote for Jimmy on the freaking water bottle and me handing out water to people in line, trying to get them to vote at the polling place. That's against the law, really. And so they just said, you have to be back 150 feet if you're going to do it. They're making it sound like you have to have like this baton death march to go stand in line to vote. It doesn't say that the voting station can't have water and whatever else out, but you can't be partisan to do
Maybe
that.
there should be a rule with consequences. If you can't get your people to show up in line and get into the voting booth within 30 minutes, that's a problem. And maybe that's where, I think that's what they'll argue is, you need, if you're standing in line to vote, because I think some of those southern places, they might, they open one polling place for a community of 50,000 people or whatever. It just makes it an impossible line to wait in. I would say that I feel like that's a little restrictive.
What is
Racist, even.
not
Like
having
you would
enough
look at-
places for people to vote?
the
Is that
fact
what
that
you're
Like
saying?
you would look in Atlanta. Like I can show up here in New York and go to my voting location on the Upper East Side, and I can just walk right in and vote. They have 50 little stands in there,
Mhm.
and it's all organized and volunteers where I can just go in and vote and get it. I'm in and out in 10 minutes. If you see on the news, and again, I don't know how representative it is, with their agenda, but maybe it is true that in a lot of the like lower income Black communities, they only put up like one voting location for way too many people. And you can go vote, you're just gonna have to stand in line for 2.5, 3 hours. That's fucked up. Like, if you're gonna go in person and vote, everybody should have the access that, like,
I want to see the facts on that.
Yeah, I think that's probably
We live in a world where we're statistically capable of figuring out what our population is, and setting up proper polling places is not an issue.
No, well, yeah, you might be right. I don't know. What I've heard,
I know
what the media
we've
reports,
seen the stories, and
is
it's
that
always
they don't do that.
I know when I
don't
first
believe
moved
the
down here
media.
to Florida, like you looked up online, like fucking damn near every church, every community center, like you can hardly throw a rock and not find the local place to go vote. So, I don't know. To say that there was never instances of that, sure it happened, because that's just old school politics, I'm sure. I don't think that's the biggest hindrance for anybody to go vote. And I totally agree. It should be easy. I think it should be a national holiday. Like it should be a national holiday. You don't go to work today, go freaking vote. That's no problem. I also think like the voting should be live online, like the freaking count room in a casino, like everywhere. We could stream that. You should be able to go stream and watch people counting those votes everywhere, anytime you want, all the time, like a live tally. Like, why not? I think you just need that faith restored in all this process. And so, yeah, enough places to go vote. Show up. You got to prove that who you are. Like, I saw a list the other day. When valid IDs are required, it's like 50, 20, like 75 things, pretty easy. when they're not voting. You know, so the whole thing about it's suppression and, you know, to have an ID to show like you're participating in this country's most sacred right, basically, as a citizen, is to go vote. So why is it so crazy to think that you should be actually a citizen of this country, quote unquote, in good standing, to go participate in the voting process? I don't think that's crazy at all. You can spin it however you want, but I think that's just how it has to be, you know. So
Yeah,
and if you find instances like that, you got to straighten it out, no doubt about it.
in the history of the U.S., they used to have like back when they were like, if you're black, you were allowed to vote, but you had to pass this like literacy exam, which was impossibly difficult. It was like a bunch of brain teasers. And I think you got like 10 minutes to complete it. So there's like a history of like, we're going to trick you guys out of not being able to vote. I don't think showing an ID and showing up to a polling place is restrictive.
No.
But waiting in line for 3 hours or even 1 hour is restrictive. I don't think you should be in and out. There should be enough places available to cast your vote that you don't need to wait in a line.
I think lines are going to be part of the deal.
Then do it online. It's not that fucking hard to do it online.
I mean, there's that too. I think as long as it's secure, I think
have
your
a
point
social
about
security
waiting in line
number
is
and
like,
use your social security
it's not
number.
that bad. Yeah. I don't know. Something about me doesn't trust that, but I think I like the inherent way that it's a bunch of small places all coming together, potted, and that goes up through the system. That's pretty straightforward, especially if that's live stream, so you can watch people counting the votes and you know what's going on at all times. And it's just tallying as you move along. Like, that's not hard to do at all.
I mean, come on, man. Like, we're trying.
What do you mean, come on, man?
Elon Musk is sending rockets to the outer space on a daily basis,
and they're coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're sitting around being like, well, you got to show up in person and.
Dude, I think it's more about the perception of security.
Ballot, and then we'll send it to CNN.
It's about the perception of the security of the system. Like,
no, just do it online. Do it.
I don't trust it, dude. I don't trust it at all.
You don't trust it in person either, do you?
I do. Absolutely.
No, they use these machines that are easily hackable.
Yeah, that system's fucked up.
You need an audit trail. You go into the Social Security website and an audit trail of if you have a Social Security number, you get a vote. Pretty easy, really easy. You go onto their website, cast your vote, and then don't delete it. Make it auditable. Like,
I'd agree with that too. Yeah, it should be traceable. It should be. My whole point is it needs to be open. It needs to be live. And it needs to be transparent. That's all anybody really asks, and by people who are qualified to vote in the process. So what's wrong with
these people in, like, I don't know where they were, like Minnesota or Georgia or something? They're like, yeah, Biden had 900,000 votes overnight, and later on it seemed like this is probably wrong, might be wrong, but I got the sense that we were like, well, let's look at them. Like, no, they delete after 24 hours. Can't look at them again.
Yeah.
Like, just trust us. Like, this is how many votes he got.
I can't really do that, you know. Like,
yeah, I don't trust the current system we have one bit.
No, I don't either, dude, at all. Not even remotely. Yeah. So basically, anything's better than we have now. I think you start with you should be able to prove who you say you are and that you are indeed entitled to vote. I think that's step one. And yeah, it's transparent and like repeatable and like.
And forget registering. Why do I need to register? I have a Social Security number. I can just show up and vote. Why do I have to register to vote?
I don't know why. Yeah. There should be no mystery either. Like, with all this counting and this and that, like, 750 people came through this door and I've got 750 ballots. So we're good here. Like, what's the mystery, man? I mean, like, what's this counting and like, we're not sure what's all in. Like, dude, you know exactly how many people came in to vote. And how many votes were turned back in. Like, you know that by the second, because whenever somebody comes back, you count it. So yeah, I think it's just too many holes. But I think showing ID is not suppression. I don't believe, of considering all the things in life that we have to do now. We have to show ID, like to rent a car, to open a bank account, to get to get public assistance to do basically anything. You've got
Here's
to
an ironic
prove that
thought.
you're a person. We're listening.
They're wanting to mandate a COVID shot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you go to a doctor's office, you have to show a form of ID.
Ding, ding,
So
ding.
all of these minorities that are supposedly being racially profiled who don't have IDs cannot get the mandatory shot.
Mhm.
Is this am I reading that
You're
wrong?
saying where's the logic? Yes, that went
Yeah.
like bye-bye a long time ago. Yeah. Totally right, dude. Yeah. To get a doctor's appointment, most of the time you need to show who you are. Especially to show up for a vaccination. Yeah. So
Then they don't really even believe me when I went in there. They're like, "You have an appointment?" I'm like, yeah, I have an appointment.
just
I had
rolling
to
the
show
dice.
them.
Yeah.
I had to show them my receipts, and like, I swear to God, I have an appointment. You guys texted me yesterday.
It's right here. Oh, that's awesome.
I just want this guy to make sure I'm not dying.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Richard,
Discussion.
what are your thoughts on
Voting,
Yeah.
voting should be equally painful as going to the DMV. You gotta have to want it to go.
Yep.
And there's no way you get into the DMV without showing multiple things of ID.
Yep,
And
I agree.
Actually, I
you have
do
to
want
show
to know.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Richard. I keep interrupting you. Sorry, man.
No, but yeah, that should if bureaucracy can create the DMV, bureaucracy should damn sure be able to create a foolproof voting system.
Mhm.
And we shouldn't have. I mean, if we have to pay somebody just so that every 2 years that they're in charge of monitoring all the votes and keeping it all right and then holding them accountable, I'm for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we just need a
Right.
DMV for the voting process, basically.
Yeah. And
That gives me
I think
chills.
I think before you can
Nobody
vote
would vote.
out of high school that you should you can vote from your 18, 19, 20. You can vote wherever you want, but then you got to pass the test.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Absolutely.
have to be necessarily a hard test. You have to know where some states are. You have to know who the vice president is, who your state representative is, and that's about it. But I think voting should be a lot harder than what it is now.
Absolutely.
I
I mean,
do
you
find
think
it.
about it. Our right to vote is literally the cornerstone of our democracy as a republic.
Yeah.
Like that is our greatest voice that we have as a citizen of the United States, and it's just getting slapped in the face right now.
It is the foundation of our republic. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. It's
Or just
it's
to
spooky.
like, yeah. To Richard's point, like, it should be harder. Like, when I sign into certain websites, they'll send me to like the captcha page, right?
Yeah.
You have to like enter these numbers and letters to vote. Like, maybe, yeah, you got to do something and be like, you don't spring it on somebody and be like, hey, tell me what state this is. Before you go in and vote, be like, we're going to ask you to name this state when you show up to vote. Take a look at the material and then
I think you should have to know, like,
you can do the minimal effort.
Something like who's the governor of your state. If you're voting in the state election, like who's your governor? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I was watching something the other day. I love watching the man on the street interviews with people about, hey, what do you think about this? And it was like they're talking about the recall of Gavin Newsom in California. Most people they talked to didn't even know who the governor of California was. like no clue. And I'm like, it's Gavin Newsom. I don't live in California, obviously. So I think a basic acknowledge is it's a tough one, Richard, because it is your right as a citizen to vote. I feel. I also agree that yes, we've cluster-fucked up the system to the degree like it should be intent to go vote. I think it shouldn't be taken on a whim, but it is indeed as a bona fide citizen of this beautiful country. It's one of the things that comes along with that. So I'm torn on your statement because I know exactly what you're saying, but I can't wholeheartedly endorse that.
I lost the password to my Bitcoin wallet
You're fucked. Yeah.
It's an all day. Yeah, that's how hard it is. That should be somewhere how hard it is to vote. If you should have to prove that much stuff. I mean, I not only have to prove that I have an account, I have to send him my ID. It has to match all my previous stuff. It's crazy. So I don't know why if Coinbase can do that, why the United States government cannot do that.
Well, I agree. I agree with that. That concept, yeah. It's way more difficult to do a lot of things that are way less important. I'll put it that way, than voting. And I think we've let voting deteriorate to not really being as important. That's why I truly believe it should be a national holiday. There should be no excuse of why you're not there voting. It should be easy to do as well. But I agree. Some of the hurdles that we go through for everyday life, like, oh shit, is that really a bus? Is that in that square or not when I'm trying to get to my website? Like, good Lord, man. Yeah, it should be revered. I'll put it that way.
As a compliance officer, the government puts more scrutiny on private businesses, like publicly traded private businesses, than the public puts on our federal government.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of like they're like, you have to do all of this stuff, and you can't trade on insider information, which you shouldn't be able to at all. But even the sniff or the scent, even the scent of insider trading in a private business, the federal government is going to come down on you hard. Meanwhile, like Nancy Pelosi sitting there,
Tesla,
making pretty lucrative trades herself. Like,
well, I think it's I truly believe if you're going to be in the public service, that your records of financials should be openly audited at all times. Like, I really can't think of any senator or rep who's come out of office the same or with less money than when they went in. Most of them are dynamically more wealthy when they come out of office than when they enter.
Yeah, dude, Biden's a multi-millionaire, and he's been in public service for
40 some years. Yeah.
50 years almost. Same with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders likes to tout himself as poor.
Multiple
this
houses.
This fucker has two houses in Vermont, and like he's wealthy. He's worth millions.
Yes, absolutely.
Why would
you spend millions of dollars for a job that pays you $100,000 a year? Do you want somebody that fucking stupid running this country? I don't think so. There's a reason for that. Yeah.
And Bernie going after Elon Musk on Twitter. See that?
That's a bad idea. I didn't see that, but no good can come of that.
We have problems here on Earth that need to be solved, like homelessness, and I don't know why you're fooling around with Mars. Like,
that's where I'm sending all the homeless. What are you talking about? Who do you think's volunteering to go in these rockets, man?
Bernie's position is give the homeless your money.
Yeah.
And fuck everybody who wants to expand human life for beyond Earth.
Tell you what, Bern, you start giving away all your shit, and then I'll think about doing it myself. Until then, you can go pound sand. Just saying. Yeah.
Going to hell in a handbasket.
It's good enough for thee, but not for me. That's the whole point of most of that shit. Yeah.
Well, we've covered everything else. Let's talk about gun control.
Actually, yeah, I was going to ask you that.
That means hitting your target.
Wondering what your guys' positions on that was. I think
on what?
I don't need to tell my opinion. I don't have a very good opinion, but I just want to know what you guys, because you guys have guns. I don't have any guns. I think like the big issue is ammo, right? Like you can have your guns, but I was on a call today at work. The one thing I will contribute is I was on a call today at work, and we were talking about like our bank is doing they're redoing this push about sustainability finance. So our bank, just as like all the other major banks, are doing an initiative to become carbon neutral. I don't know why a bank is producing carbon, but like for example, my bank was providing funding for these outfits that were clear cutting the rainforest to plant palm trees for palm oil, or palm oil trees. I don't even know if those come from palm trees, but I always found that hypocritical. Like, you tell the public that we're friends of the environment, meanwhile you are literally facilitating incredibly damaging things to the environment. There is a rule, actually, and I learned about it today, that banks, if you're a US licensed national bank, you have to provide banking services to undesirable companies. So if you are a polluter, but you're operating within the realms of the law, or you are a gun manufacturer, a lot of people who think that the way to get rid of guns is like cut them off at their source, cut off their financing. If you dig into the details of it, there are laws in place where you can't do that. Like, a bank can't just be like, we're not going to bank Smith and Wesson anymore because they make a product that
We don't
the
like.
woke people don't like. I think there are safety nets. I mean, those could always be taken down. Those are the issues that people should probably be paying attention to rather than what's on the surface. But
That's usually the case.
yeah, I don't know. From a non-gun owner, because frankly, I'm not allowed to own a gun in New York City.
That's a issue into itself, right there.
If these laws that we have here materialized where you guys are, what would you do? How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
What would you do?
There's multiple ways to go about that. I would certainly be in non-compliance. I'll put it that way. No doubt about it, man. Like,
you're gonna go to jail? Are you prepared to go to jail?
You fucking ain't right, man. Yeah.
All right.
First of all my guns just recently fell overboard in a boating accident, so there's nothing here to really worry about. Unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Yeah.
Good point. You could claim you don't even possess them anymore.
Terrible accident. Yeah. Lucky to get away with my life.
I wonder who these
Mind if
people
we
are
have a
gonna-
look around?
Yes, I do. Yes.
I'm just curious, if they do go on this full gun seizure thing, how many people they think they're going to enforce it?
They'll have a civil war on their hands before that happens.
Well, I mean, how many people are going to have to get shot trying to seize guns before the other guys that are seizing guns are like, this job isn't worth dying over?
First, you try to defund the police, and now you're saying, again, there's always another tactic going on, I'm afraid. Or they want us to settle for something less evil or stupid than they're proposing.
I like when they say, oh, well, the Army will do it. The National Guard will go and get your guns. I'm like, the F they will. They're all rednecks from flyover states. And then my best argument is, well, they're weeding those guys out. So what they're weeding out is all the rednecks, and what they're going to be left with is all the transvestite lefty guys that never knew what a gun was in the first place. They're going to come
give
take my guns.
Antifa a badge, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe so.
They can come at me.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
I encourage that.
I think the gun debate is pretty pointless, because who's going to take the guns? That's my question. Who is going to come get all these guns? We have 1 trillion guns in this country. Who's going to come gather them all up? Because most of the people that are capable of gathering them up are gun owners. They're not going to go gather their own damn guns up.
Oh, there's assholes that are doing it. I don't know what their internal snappage is, but I'm surprised. Next, they're probably going to cut their dick out to prevent rape. But I'm turning my guns in because I don't want to be a part of this.
Well, that's the thing. If they really want to end it, they're not going to come take your gun. They don't really care about that. If they really want to end it, they'll just cut off ammo manufacturers. You're not going to be able to get any ammo for your gun.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ammo.
Unfortunately, that all fell overboard too. So
yeah,
It was a really bad day for me. Yeah.
So, yeah, well, there's guys.
Look
there's
at
guys
Ross.
that-
What are you looking at me, really?
We're just saying that ship already sailed too.
do
Yeah,
you-
you can't
what
put
do you-
that toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak.
What
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Dude, we've all got enough ammunition
Joel-
already. Like,
Joel, let me ask you a question. How many guns are there in the United States that are in gun owners' hands?
100 million? No, wait, no, I'm gonna change that. 1 billion.
Okay. Now my next question is, do they all just have one bullet for those things?
Well, what? Can they have one? If they only have one, they're
Do they only have
worthless.
one? Do they only have one bullet for every gun they have?
My understanding is a lot of people don't have any bullets because they can't go purchase them. Maybe you have 100. What are you going to do with 100? Yeah, maybe.
let's just say the average person who has ammunition does not keep it around like people did toilet paper last year.
Like, how many rounds would you keep? Without, you don't need to say your specific round, but maybe let's say you have a. I mean, what's a normal gun to have?
Before my
Like
boat wreck, I had enough that I didn't worry about it.
So you have like a
I'm looking
40
at what's just
caliber.
in my kitchen. I have
How
60
many? Yeah,
rounds.
you got 1,000 rounds, or do you have like 10,000 rounds? Do you have?
I'm just
100?
saying within
Say that
my
again?
eyesight, what I sitting right here, I can see 60 rounds.
60?
Yeah,
That's not gonna last you very long.
It's just
lasts
from
me long
looking,
enough.
from sitting at the kitchen table. It's just
Not moving
Joel-
from right where I'm sitting.
I'm
If it's
probably an
zombies time,
average
you're gonna
gun
need
owner,
enough
and
to.
I'm within 30 seconds of at least 10,000 rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
ditto.
Okay.
Before the boating wreck. Yeah.
You could fire a gun 10,000 times before you needed to find a Walmart.
Once
No,
again, my
because
point
I've
is,
got enough
you're gonna get
reloading
fired.
supplies to.
What?
The bottom line is that it'd be sheer lunacy to even try to go out and confiscate. The largest army in the world is not our military or China's military. It's our citizenry.
And that's what they don't
That's
like.
true.
And you know what? There's a reason it's that way.
Yeah.
It gives people like me comfort. That I'm comfortable with that. I am not comfortable with the government having full power.
Has it ever ended well? No. Ever.
No,
Never. Yeah.
not yet.
Like even if we had like a complete utopian society, you're like, wait a minute, that seems weird. Why would that one group be in total control of everything else? That seems bad. You know?
It's not like we could. Well, maybe because we're so spread out. Maybe you could defeat the government if it came to that. But
What is
they just fly their
is
drone over you. And
the government?
take you out.
Like, what is that? Like that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess you're right. I guess like the military personnel would be like, yeah, I don't want to do this. And then the
That's the same
military
thing.
is
I mean,
left training a bunch of Antifa members like how to be.
what I've
real
grown up doing
soldiers.
since I was about 4. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'd like to see it.
I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that it's absolute lunacy to punish law-abiding people for stuff that people who obviously don't give a shit about the rules to begin with do, i.e., you're getting all hung up on what kind of weapon this person used to go kill people, which rule number 1 is thou don't kill other people. Like, it doesn't matter if it's with a hammer or rat poison or a bomb or anything else. Like, you don't kill people. So what are you getting hung up on the fact of what they used a gun to do it, or a hammer, or a semi-trailer? They're not paying attention to the law anyways, man. And that's like the very first thing out of the gate. It's like your whole premise of what this is about is completely fouled. When I say yours, I mean anti-gun people, not you. It doesn't make any sense. It's irrelevant.
When shit hits fan, I want to be on Holly and Richard's team there in Oregon
okay.
instead of Brooklyn's team.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's an agenda to go after the guns because it's the number one thing upholding the Constitution. If bad people are going to be doing bad things, and you as a New Yorker should know this better than anybody, because on the worst day in America's history, not one shot was fired when those towers fell in New York City, and that was those were bad people doing bad things. It doesn't matter whether it's a firearm. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And coming after legal, legit gun owners or their ammunition or whatever they want to come after, there's another agenda behind that. And taking away our guns isn't going to fix mass murders. It isn't going to fix all these big shootings. It isn't going to fix any of that. But what it does fix is it allows them to get greater control over the United States Constitution, which they want to do away with, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
if they're so good at this gun control stuff, why don't they start with the criminals to begin with? You know, there you go. If you want to implement these rules, start there.
Do you guys see where you are? Do you see, like I see it a lot because it's happening right in my city, but all the Black on Asian violence that's occurring. Do you see that in the news?
I don't see it much in the news.
Like this woman that was like the 65-year-old Asian woman was walking down 43rd Street and I think like 6th Avenue or something. She's on the Midtown West. She was just walking down the street at about noon, and this fucking dude just kicked her in the chest, knocked her on the ground, kicked her in the head a few times. The people where the video surveillance camera was coming from inside of a building, it closed the door. They didn't help her. And then the same day, there was the Asian guy just got the shit kicked out of him, pummeled on the subway, caught on camera. So there's and it's happening in Oakland. There's a lot of Black on Asian violence happening right now, and the media is trying to paint a picture of white supremacy, and this is kind of getting in the way of that. They found the Atlanta guy, that crazy Christian fucker that shot up the Asian massage parlors.
Yeah.
They tried to paint him as a white supremacist racist. I think he was just crazy Christian.
He was.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, that's a problem in the white community is the Christianity.
It was his
craziness.
Sex addiction thing was driving me crazy. Yeah, I mean, they don't.
My problem with it is that they're not talking about, like, maybe you shouldn't talk about it at all about who the race of the perpetrator is. It's like, stop.
Doesn't matter.
Fucking right. Attacking Asians.
It shouldn't. Well, the race shouldn't matter because, like, if you want to talk, let's delve into this a little bit deeper. Two even more recent events. You have the shooting in Colorado, where the guy from Syria goes into what I can determine is a predominantly Jewish neighborhood, shoots 11 white people, and that narrative got shut down quick, fast, and in a hurry. After everybody's like, "Oh, it's another white man because he came out alive." No, so you don't have heard shit about that on the news whatsoever because that didn't fit the whole white supremacy thing. And then was it yesterday or day before? I think two Black girls, like 13 and 15, tased the Uber driver to death and stole his car, and basically it threw him out of the rig onto the sidewalk, and they were worried about their cell phones. And you've not heard shit about that either, and that's just an awful deal. So
these aren't all racial. Some of them, some of them might be racial, but they're
the stats. According to the stats that I've seen quoted a lot, is Black on Black violence and Black on Asian violence. That's really the majority of any of that Black or Asian deaths come from those two things, and people don't want to hear about. Instantly, I'll probably be racist because I said that, but that's the stats. So there is a lot of Black on Asian violence.
I mean, if you look at the statistics, yeah, it's not just Black on it's Black on white people too. It's kind of a problem. Black on white people. That's it. There's a lot of violence there.
Always, but if you look at the highest numbers and the highest incident, that's what it is. I think the whole point of the white supremacy racist stuff is just divide people into groups and put us at each other's throats and to separate it out, back and forth bickering, so other things are going on, or they have victims that they can punish other people for to make things right, which never has happened ever when they do that.
Yeah.
And so, I think
I
it's
get-
about divide, and it's about splitting it into groups, and it's about punishing one group to help, quote unquote, help somebody else, but really just taking it away from somebody else.
Yeah. My problem is with the national narrative of this white supremacy violence thing. The data just doesn't support that. Like
Not at all.
white on Asian, white on Black, white on Hispanic. I mean, there definitely is violence in those categories, but it doesn't. If you were to look at a chart,
It doesn't even raise
the white
bump, dude.
white violence isn't all that significant, except for white on white. That's the problem. There's a lot of that violence.
Naturally, there's more white people. I mean, like, it's not racist though. There's not this. I know a pretty good swath of people. I don't know anybody that's a white supremacist at all. Never even heard anybody kind of whisper about it in the hushed tones in the under back rooms. If you hear some other people talk like it's the only thing white people think about all day, I don't get it, dude. It's not there. Sorry. It's false, but that's the goal. So so we started with gun control, we ended up there, but they're definitely connected as well, especially with these recent events where it's just so blatant that if it fits a specific narrative, then it's going to get screamed from the rooftops, and even if it doesn't, they're still going to try it anyways. And it's like, and you wonder why people have zero faith in what they're told on the quote unquote news or these other outlets. It's like, well, why would I trust you on anything when I see this happen and this is how you present it to me and I know it's false? Like, why would I care what you say? It makes no sense. Well, I'm gonna have fun typing up the timeline and description for this freaking tornado. Yeah.
That's what
Thanks
happens.
a lot, Raleigh.
2 weeks.
What's that, Richard?
I said that's what happens when we miss 2 weeks of news.
Yes. Yeah, we have a little get a little pent up, and we probably don't all talk like this. We talk independently, but not all together, and that's the whole point of this whole deal. So yeah. So thank you, Reachers, for putting up with us for our brief hiatus. We'll try to get back more on track too, but this is a busy time of year for a lot of people, so we have to work around schedules and time zones as well. There's a 3-hour time difference between myself and Joel and you two a-holes, and so yeah, that adds to the complexity of all of our fun stuff. So I think I kind of took care of our intellectual moment and a bit of our grinding gears. We probably still go into a bit of that as well, but as soon as Joel's in the powder room at the moment, I believe, so we'll probably get to his word of the week when he comes back. I could do a quick. We did get some mail. We've been getting some more people checking out the podcast from different parts of the world. Lewis, I can't even pronounce Lewis's last name. Lewis sent a great video to our account. I need to figure out how to get it posted on our page, and it's about the history of Social Security. And it's really interesting to see, when it started, how it was set up, what it was supposed to be, and all the little steps and when things changed and where into the entire clusterfuck that it is what it is today. Completely different from what it initially started out. It wasn't that brilliant of an idea to begin with, but it was basically, when it started, it was voluntarily, it's basically self-sufficient. And over time, of course, then it started getting taxed, and then it started going into the general fund. And then people who just showed up and never paid into it ever could get into it. And then it became mandatory and more taxed. And so it's about a 4 or 5 minute video just about the history of Social Security. And I think one of the lessons behind it was it's these little bits over time that, you look up in 40 or 50 years and you're like, it started way over here. It was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And now it's completely bastardized, inept version of what it began because of the idiots in between that screwed it over every single time. So I'm trying to get it posted on our Facebook page from the inbox. But Lewis sent that. It was really cool to see. Joel, we're finishing up some Reacher Mail, then we go back and hit your word of the week, if you don't mind. How's that sound?
Sure.
And then we got Teacher Jay in Oregon said, most middle school kids I've been around have not heard about the Civil War, the Mayflower, or the Underground Railroad even. Most our focus seems to be on state and town history, if any. So that struck me as really interesting to not really have a good grasp of the Civil War, the Mayflower, because that's been bastardized and that's evil now that we came here. And then, of course, the Underground Railroad's all about the freedom of bringing people from the southern states north. And so it's an interesting insight. And I think one of my projects, I'm going to try to track down like the history book I had in like the 6th to the 8th grade, try to see what it was all about. I can remember what it looks like in my mind, but I don't know the exact title. But I think I can do some searching probably on the eBay and find a history book from 1985 or so. That'd be pretty interesting to see. So if anybody out there has one, let me know. I'll definitely get it. I'll buy it from you. But I just like to see what that point of view was. At that, has it shifted in my mind since I've gone through all this and I think about the quote unquote good old days, or did I remember learning about quite a bit of different stuff? The Cold War, especially, seems to be top of the list. So
I used to have to ration my East Oregonian picks, like what I'm going to look at on the website, because you only get it like you get like 5 free articles a month or whatever it is. I finally was like, I could subscribe. I could just subscribe to this. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, like, living large, honey. Living large.
Yeah, it's like $2 a month or some shit.
Yeah.
So I subscribed to it, and fuck, I forgot what I was going with. What were you just talking about, Mega?
History book.
Oh yeah. When it comes to like what they teach in schools, there was an article on there today about how some years they can't find enough people to like run for school board. Isn't it the board of schools? Richard, you probably know this. Is it the board that decides the curriculum that the kids are going to learn? No, you just turn yourself off mute. There you
go. To a certain extent, because all the curriculum's already made by basically the teachers union and the Department of Education.
Oh, so what does the board do then? Just
budget stuff and guidance?
Yeah, they can throw a fit and not buy it. They do that. They used to do that in Texas all the time. They one Texas district had, I think, in the 90s or the early 2000s, the Texas school boards were so against the curriculum that they had to go back and write textbooks just for Texas because they weren't buying any of it. So
yeah, it's a big market. Yeah. When I get back to Pendleton, they're lucky they missed me this round, but I'm gonna run for school board.
Absolutely. No, it's not weird at all. No, I think that's imperative. That is essential. When we talk about this country's going to shit and what are we going to do, blah, blah, blah. It starts when you get involved at the local level. If it's a school board, county commission, whatever, that's where you have to get involved and start making people think about what the hell they're doing. So I could not encourage that anymore. All of us, that needs to be done. And that's part of the problem. I think it's inherent, and I'm going to stereotype.
That sounds like an endorsement to me, Micah.
I'll endorse you. Yeah. You're my favorite communist. Yeah. Like, hey, this kid made it out of Pendleton and came back. He's probably got something to say. Like, I mean, I think it's important, man. I really can't stress it enough. Like, this is where I think if the states have more control over what they have going on, the shifts at the federal level do not have quite the impact that they do now. And I think we need to go back to more state focus for sure. And that's been hammered home even more since I live in the great state of Florida, where our governor will tell the quote unquote president to go fuck himself, which music to my ears. But I think it all starts at the local, town, and state level. So 100%, I'll help you run. It's important. So get your ass in Jeep Cherokee and go do it. So, do you have your word of the week there, good sir?
Yeah, I got a word.
That sounds scary.
All right, you guys ready for my word? Raleigh, wake up. Is he awake?
Yeah, he's awake. He's doing that creepy thing. Yeah, go ahead.
My word is Empurple. Empurple. Empurple.
That's when you got too tight a grip. Oh no, Empurple.
Yeah. That's my word.
Empurple. I've never heard that word that I'm aware of. Purple.
Anybody have a guess?
I'm thinking. Doesn't really the root's not really there.
M would be to enable to make something purple.
No, it's EM, not yeah.
Yeah, Empurple. But yeah, Raleigh, you fucking nailed it.
To make it purple?
Yeah, that's all the word means. There's a whole word to make something
It's
purple.
in the word though. How stupid is that? Why don't you just call it purple?
Because there's no like
So I'm gonna if it's the process of making something purple, like, hey, you should go and purple that house. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't be on the fucking school board. I've taken my I rescind. No, I don't know. I still stand by that. Yeah. That's all it means. That's weird. No wonder
What
I've
a
never
funny
heard that
word,
word.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
What a,
and then it also means like, I guess there is a special name, but I would have thought it would be red. Red. So if you get really mad and like your face turns red, apparently other people say your face turns purple. So you get empurpled.
I know Richard gets empurpled when he goes on the Ralph Lewis field trip to Central Oregon. That's a different story altogether. Were you waiting for that, Richard? Did you know that was coming? You're on mute. Damn it, Brad Burr.
Did you drink too much and you got a red face?
Yeah, did I drink? Maybe a little bit too much.
He was in the spirit world. Yeah.
I didn't wake up for like 2 days. I just laid in the fetal position, the back of a pickup.
He's in Pollo's pickup the whole time. Yeah. You look like shitty when you got home. Yeah.
I went into the bar that I got packed out of that night in Pendleton. It's now a coffee shop, which is amazing.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
What's that?
Purple.
Coffee shop.
No, he's in Burns, not Pendleton.
Oh.
Burns, yeah.
Yeah. Richard didn't even know where he was. That's how empurpled he was. Yeah.
One of the many times I should have had my stomach pumped, but nobody took me to the hospital.
It was a caring group on that particular trip. Yeah. Dude, Bradbury almost died. Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. Is there a coffee shop? There's a coffee shop in Burns. Like, I would feel like you'd either have to make it home or go to the gas station, get your coffee.
There's like 3 coffee shops in Burns, but one of them's one of those little drive-up tube things.
How many people live in Burns?
4,000?
4,000 probably, yeah.
So is it kind of like it's like the size of Baker, basically?
No, Baker's.
Baker's bigger, isn't it? Yeah.
That'd be 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought Baker was like smaller than Hetner.
Well,
No,
how big's
no.
Pendleton?
17? 14,
Yeah,
17? Yeah.
16 or 17 or something like that.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Burns has a McDonald's.
I want to throw out a car update. I'm leaning towards a Ford Ranger.
Ooh. So is this the new, I teased this earlier the week. This is the new segment called Buying Stuff, Real Life Product Reviews. So I thought it would be handy. Ford Ranger. I saw one the other day walking down the street. I was walking down the street, not the Ford Ranger. Yeah.
I would like an F-150, but they're too expensive. One, just like, I don't know, it's just too much car. I don't need that much.
They're kind of
I'd like to
disposable,
have the towing capability just so like my brother Casey doesn't
get to do all the fun stuff
for not being able to tow something, but and I wouldn't do it myself anyway, but like you do it. But I don't know, as a Ford Ranger, you guys, Richard, Raleigh, you guys think that'd be all right?
I had the pickup that size that I really like is the new Chevy diesels. That I don't know what they're called. Colorado's, the Chevy Colorado's.
Chevy Colorado.
Yeah, I think I'd go with that over the Ranger, but
Just because it diesel, you think is a pretty good,
like
better choice in gas.
crazy miles to the gallon, like 40 miles to the gallon or something crazy.
Oh.
So, what are you laughing at?
Whenever I hear Ford Ranger now, I just think about Blue Duck on Lonesome Dove. I ain't got time for no wore out old Rangers. Yeah, that's what goes in my head. So that's why I giggle. Yeah, and Casey can go pound sand, Joel. Like, why should you buy like a 3/4 ton pickup just in case you have to go tow something at some point? I mean, you can, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'd like to be
Better
able to. I want to drive around.
Well, then don't get a half ton. Then get you a nice 3/4 ton pickup. Go get a new Chevy 3/4 ton or Dodge. Fuck it.
How much is a Ranger weigh?
No, it's not what they weigh, it's what they can haul. Like a Ranger, like a half ton is a F-150. Like they're probably not much anymore, but they're supposed to be able to hold a half ton of cargo. It's a half ton.
I don't need a 3/4 ton.
Well,
What?
if you're gonna tow anything worth towing, you do. Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're gonna go tow hay around for Casey, you need at least a 3/4 ton pickup.
Tell
I'm
Casey
gonna-
to tow his
I'm
own
gonna-
hay.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell
exactly.
you, probably most of the time it'll be a golf cart. Other times it'll be like 20 bales of hay.
A half ton's fine.
Half ton would be fine then. But that's an
150,
Half ton
F-150.
pickup or half ton of hay?
No.
Half ton pickup.
The 150.
Is that like an F-150?
F-150, Chevy 1500, Ram
Okay,
1500.
I don't.
Well, that's
you
why
can-
we
I'm
have
not
this
gonna
segment
pay
called
another
buying stuff.
10,000 for the F-150.
They're
What can
super
I
comfortable.
tow with a?
First off,
Ranger.
Joel, first of all, don't
bells in it.
buy a brand new one if you're gonna do it. Go
So I'm
find a
gonna
really
lease.
go find a really nice used one that
No, I'm just gonna lease a brand new one.
Mhm.
I'm of the mind like you don't buy depreciating assets. You rent
That's what
depreciating assets. You buy appreciating assets. You buy an apartment or a home. If you're buying a car, it's gonna lose value. I don't want to own it. I don't want that risk. And I'm
That's
gonna
like
want a
buying a
new
used
one in a
one.
couple of years anyways. I'm just gonna lease it.
I've
Yeah.
done that. The only potential downside is mileage. If you go over your mileage, then that costs you per mile.
Well, it's like a quarter a mile. Well, I mean,
That
so you
adds
go
up.
over.
Dude, in Eastern Oregon, they don't take long. Like, so, and hell, lease one for a couple years. If you're going to put more miles on it, then you can still buy it. You have paid the depreciation as you leased it. Or that's why you buy a used one, because somebody else already ate the shit on it and you get it for a better price.
But what if it breaks down? Then you have to pay for like the cost.
It doesn't really happen much
fixing
anymore.
something.
Not really. If you buy the right one, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and you
I
can
really
get,
don't want any risk.
you can get
And
certified.
you shouldn't drive.
You live in New York.
For the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm going back to Belton.
Yeah. Going back to P-Town. So
I would just suggest you get a beater until you decide what you want.
I would lease one for a year or two. And I would drive the bejesus out of everything I wanted to. Go to Tri-Cities. There's like 500 car dealerships there. It just drive the shit out of everything you want to. Go drive a 1-ton. Go drive a 3/4 ton. Go drive an F-150. Go drive an SUV. Go drive a car. Spend a whole day or two. Just drive the shit out of everything.
I feel like I'm 38 and never have had to worry about the price of a car before in my life.
That's pretty cool.
Like I haven't had a car. I've never had a car in college, I guess, but it was like my mom paid for it.
Yeah.
coming out there, yeah, I'm not gonna go buy like a Ford Taurus or something, but I'm gonna get something cool.
There you go.
Even though I understand it's a bad financial decision, I get that. I'm prepared to make a bad financial decision.
You're going into it knowing that that's half the battle. Yeah, because it makes you happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do shit just because it makes us happy.
Even if it's
And-
just for a day.
Yeah.
You're moving to Eastern Oregon and you can't walk anywhere.
Well, he's going to
Pretty
live
much.
3 blocks from Hamley's. He's not too worried, I don't think. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about getting like a scooter or something, a motorized scooter.
Yeah.
And that could serve as like my vehicle
Joel,
to go down to the bar to get my pickup. And
You
then
can still get a
put
DUI.
that in the back and then
Joel,
Because when your pickup gets drunk, yeah.
Joel,
Yeah.
listen to
Listen.
me. I just found on Facebook Marketplace a 2007 Ford F-150 with only 52,000 miles on it. Has an automatic transmission. It's easy to run. It's a one-owner vehicle. An older man has it for $9,500. That you're not going to go wrong with that. You will get your $9,500 worth of transportation out of it.
is that an XLT or XL?
It doesn't have details.
It's a $9,500.
Yeah. And it's
I want leather seats.
well, this one does not have leather seats.
That can be found.
That's going to cost you another 10,000.
That does sound like actually a really good deal though.
Right. And
Might just flip that.
you could
You
drive
can
it
drive
for,
it for a few years and then sell it again. Yeah.
you'll get your 9,500 back out of it after you put 30,000 miles on it.
My uncle's selling a 2015 Platinum F-150
That's got leather.
with like it only has like 50,000 miles on it. He's selling it for about $40,000. And I know that how good of care my uncle takes of his rigs. I'm kind of tempted to go that route, but I like the new stuff in the cars. I like the bigger, fancy screen.
You won't like it when
Absolutely.
you got to pay to have them worked on.
That's why he wants a
Well,
lease.
that's
way
why
he
you
doesn't-
lease
yeah.
it. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that shit. But
I'm an
yeah,
accounting professor. You and R tell me one time if you're leasing, you're the one that's being taken advantage of.
You're just paying your depreciation. That's all you're doing.
yeah, I don't think you're being taken advantage of as much as people say. I think as long as you know what you're getting into, like, yeah, I'm paying more for this, but
Actually, my lease payment was, I went with the lease for 2 reasons. Mostly the main reason was in Nebraska, where I had my pickup at, to license the vehicle there is absolutely freaking crazy insane. So if you do, and of course I got a pretty nice pickup, but if you get it on the lease, you don't pay the full registration fee. It still cost me like $5,000 to register my pickup the first time in Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
It's insane. And it was like $1,000 every year to renew, which was just peaches and cream. But lease payment was actually less than the actual truck payment would be too. But the main reason was because the taxes to register the vehicle were less on the lease. And I thought, well, by the time this lease comes up, because of the 3-year deal, I'll either be ready to pay for it all outright, or I'll be in a different state. And it turns out I'm in a different state, but I'm sending it back next month anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
really, if
How's
you
that-
could send that
how do you
to
send
me, send that pickup advertisement to me.
Okay.
what's that, Richard?
How do you send it back? Just drop it off to the close.
Yeah, I just had it got inspected a couple weeks ago. Like the leasing company sent out an inspector dude just to let me know if everything, like, does it need new tires or is anything? It's like, it's cherry. So yeah, I just take it back to the local dealership and drop it off.
I got to clean mine. It's going to go back in June.
Mine's been sitting in my garage for a couple of months. It's pretty clean.
Did you make
Yeah.
any money on the mileage?
I think I will. Yeah, because it's under. So yeah. I had a 36,000 mile lease, and I think I have 34,000 miles, I believe, on it. So, which a lot of those came from my big wandering trip to the Northwest one time. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I don't know, Joel. I think you figure out what you want to do with it is one thing. I think nothing wrong with leasing one for a while and then figuring out if you want to get that. And there's nothing wrong with buying a used one somewhere. And as long as you're comfortable with the history, drive it for a while. If you don't like it, sell it to somebody else. That's pretty fun, actually. Yeah.
And used, you actually get worse rates on your loan too.
To a degree, not terribly though. Like obviously the dealership wants to sell you something brand new at a lower interest rate. You can also get your own independent financing, and you do pretty well on that on the used one. So
Just live
depending on
with
the
your
year.
brother. Just live with your brother until you got it paid off.
No, that's what
That's the
I'm
plan,
doing.
obviously. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just doesn't want to rely on them for a ride. That's the main point. Yeah. So,
I'm gonna live with Brian during the weekdays, and then we go up and stay with Raleigh. I haven't told me yet, but stay up there on the weekends.
and you better get a 1-ton. You know, you need a dually, diesel, 6-speed, because you're hauling some hay and shit. Yeah.
Stay on a Raleigh's teepees. He probably has there.
Just
Put
saying.
you to work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Put me to work.
So, yeah, part of it is just really what you want to do with your rig. That's the main point. So, yeah.
I'll be the screwdriver guy. You give me a screwdriver, I'll go screw in all the screws that I can find for free.
That's quite the service. Yeah. So,
For free.
awesome. Well, that's our new segment called Buying Stuff. So if things that we're looking at, we'll talk to you about them. That's one of my fun hobbies, is researching the crap out of something before I buy it. Also, if you as a reacher are considering a purchase, let us know. We'll walk you through the pros and the cons. Probably more cons than anything else, but you've got 4 diverse opinions here and research on the fly. So again, if you want to submit something for our new segment called Buying Stuff, then we'll certainly be willing to go through that for you as well and provide a little entertainment, but also some insight, because it truly is one of the things. If I could figure out a way to make a living doing that, I'd probably just research shit for people to buy. And but Consumer Reports kind of does that already. But if you want the real down home approach, we got you covered. So, so that leads us to a couple more segments. We got Entertainment Spotlight, and then Best Thing of the Week. So we kind of covered who grinds our gears already. If anybody's got something that really grinding their gears, we can jump on that. But I want to make sure I get this Entertainment Spotlight out. I wavered a lot yesterday.
Wait, did you say we're doing grinding my gears?
Not yet. No, I'm gonna do the Entertainment Spotlight so we know what thing we're gonna discuss next time, and then we'll go to grinding gears if you have something to grind.
Let me know when I can grind my gears.
I will. Keep your hands in plain sight until then, my good sir. Yes. So I was all over the board about if I was going to do a movie, book. I had several podcasts in mind, an album, and then I heard this clip this evening right before we came on the air, and I thought, if that's really going on, I need to find that, and we're going to listen to it. So what I found is this is a December 9th, 2019 interview. It's on a YouTube channel called This Week in Virology. So right away, I know I captured everybody's attention. But it's This Week in Virology number 615, and it's this guy named Peter Daskoff of the EcoHealth Alliance. And he's talking openly about some of his research he was doing in Wuhan and some of the stuff they were doing with Corona. And so I found it very entertaining and enlightening. It's about 30 minutes long. But it's This Week in Virology 615, recorded 9 December 2019. So it's definitely right before wheels were coming off. It's about 30 minutes, about 20 minutes in or so, he starts talking about some of the stuff that they were looking at. And he was like associated with it. He wasn't working there every day, but talks about coronavirus in general and SARS, and the whole thing is about virology. That's the name of the podcast, if you will. So I'll get it posted up on our Facebook page, but it's This Week in Virology. It's TWIV 615 is the number of it. It's only 30 minutes long. It should definitely spark some curiosity and some follow-up. But I heard about it on the news this evening, and I looked it up, and I found a YouTube channel, and there it is. And it's still up. So it surprised me that it's still on YouTube. So Peter Daskoff, Daszak is the guy's name. So that will be our Entertainment Spotlight for our next session. Hopefully it stays up on YouTube for that long. If not, that probably tells you all you need to know as well.
Can you forward that link?
I shall. I'll forward it to the herd, and then I'll definitely put it on our Facebook page as well and get it out. So
You
we
do
can,
that every time. Every time there's a entertainment spotlight, do you put that on there?
not always. No, I'm pretty undisciplined. Try to talk about it. I think I put Willie on there. Maybe I didn't. I know I sent that out to the gang. So talked about it several times though. Yeah. Sure, try. Yeah. So is that what was grinding your gears?
Me?
Yeah.
No, you ready for what was grinding my gears all
I
week?
sure am. I think we all are. Yeah.
The biggest, I mean, there was a lot this week to get worked up about, but one thing that really stood out to me this week was the CDC director on her I don't know, it was like an update, or I don't know what channel it airs on, but I saw a clip of it, and she said, I pulled it up. She said, I'm going to have to pause here. I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feelings I have of impending doom. Impending doom, she said.
Wow.
We have so much to look forward to, so much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope. But right now, I'm scared. That grinds my gears because I don't think that the head of the CDC, the person charged with providing us information, no more and no less than information, is sitting there on television saying, I'm scared and impending doom.
Yeah.
And crying. And she started crying and she was getting choked up. Like, if you can't keep your shit together to tell us, all we want from you is the information. If you can't give us the information without getting emotional about it, you shouldn't be in this job.
Well, isn't she
And
the same person that just told us a couple of weeks ago that she really wasn't concerned about it and everybody should be back in school? And then they said, oh, that was her personal talk and she's in front of the CDC banner. Like, is that the same person?
I wouldn't be surprised. I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised.
Like
I didn't hear about
dark
that,
hair,
but,
right? Black-haired lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that makes it even worse. 2 weeks ago, she's like, kids should be back in school. I don't, blah, blah, blah. And the administration shit their pants and like, oh, that was just her talking out of her personal level. And now she's doing this.
Yeah. Give me the fucking facts and shut up.
And even like you said,
and we'll
should
make
be
the
emotional.
decision ourselves.
Yeah. That's like Kevin Bacon in Animal House. Remain calm, all is well. Like, what kind of idiocy is that?
It should be, I mean, it should be added to the, there is a, I don't know if I've never seen anybody talk about it really, but like you see clips once in a while of like a CNN anchor, like when George Floyd got killed. They give their impassioned speech with their
Don Lemon
tears.
is pretty good
Don
about that.
Lemon, yeah, they're always crying, and
it's because they care, Joel.
Well,
they care.
That's definitely what they're trying to do. I doubt that they really do.
Not even remotely, no.
Feel those emotions. But regardless of whether or not they feel those emotions, they shouldn't be showing them on camera.
Precisely. Yeah.
You're there to give me my news. I'm tuning into you to get information, and I don't give a, especially when you're from the CDC. Where are you editorializing? You're essentially, you are giving an opinion based on your emotion. And we saw this week with like Scientific America. They got called out on Twitter because they're now putting on opinion pieces and editorializing stuff. That, I think that's a significant breakdown in our society on your roles and responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You've crossed the line now, and I mean everything's crossed the line. And going back to the conspiracy theorists, and like, you're not a conspiracy theorist, you're just recognizing something that's not right.
Yeah, asking why about something doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist or an anti insert whatever. Like the whole thing about this trust the science is settled. That makes my head explode, because that's the whole essence of science, is it is not settled. It's continually picked at and poked at and prodded and stomped and twisted and tested and rent to the ringer. And it begs to be asked why. Because if you can ask why 10 different ways from 20 different angles and it comes back the same, that's a pretty solid trend. It's never like stomp, therefore it shall be. But that's the whole point about like what's that called? The process of going through an experiment. It's just, I'll think about it in a second. I'm too round up in the moment. There's like a whole system. Like you hypothesize, you test, you repeat. You know,
The
scientific method. Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. I knew it was in there somewhere. You know, so it's about scrutiny. It's about, that's why when you design a study, like it has to be repeatable. That's the whole point. When you put together a study and they look at your materials and methods, like you have to lay it all out, just how you did it and under what conditions, so that the next schmuck can come along and do it again and be like, I got something completely different this time.
It's so clear that it's repeatable. You should be able to repeat
1000%.
Get the same result.
Either you get the same result or you get something different because there's conflicting variables. Like that's a completely legitimate possibility, you know? So it's like science is about the why. That's the whole point of science. It's not because it's been settled because we paid for this study, now you move on. And that always really grinds on me, is it's not settled, you know? And so now when you get science being more emotion than anything else, when people are desperately looking for solid information on something, that's even more deplorable, if you will, to have that point of view.
We need sound effects to graining your sound.
I'll work
effects.
on that. Yeah,
get that from Bo. Yeah.
I'll work on that. Yeah, we can get that hammered. Yeah, no problem. We missed it last time.
Have Richard turn on his car or his pickup.
We have just you driving a manual transmission ought to get us plenty of that. Yeah.
What grinded Richard and Raleigh's gears? Anything?
I'm good.
Cool. We had some gear grinding earlier, so we're gonna do it this week. We missed it last time. What's that, Richard?
Go ahead. Go.
We missed it last time, but I think we should end with best thing of the week. Just because we've been rambling around in circles, and I do like to end on a positive note if at all possible. So Rawls, if you're still awake in your Canadian tuxedo, do you have a best thing of the week for us?
Yeah. I've got several best things of the week, but I'll
aren't you
I'll go with this year I ordered my wife a birthday present from one of Richard's neighbors, and Bill Black, and her Rains and Romel showed up in the mail the other day, so that was a best thing of the week that I'll share.
Yeah, I saw those on the Facebook. Cherry.
Yeah.
What was it?
Oh, it's a set of Rains and Romel for a bridal.
It's a Romel.
It's a sex swing you put in the bedroom.
Nice.
Yeah, handmade shit, man. It's pretty cool.
And the Rains, okay, that makes sense.
See?
The Rains, then
yeah,
get it.
Yeah. Tasty leather, so when you're biting on it, it's not that bad. It's really nice. Yeah. So
we need champ on it, not chomp.
You say tater, I say yeah.
Chomping on the bit. It's champing its bit.
Richard, what do you have for us, good sir?
Oh man, I've had 3 or 4 shitty weeks, so
well, you're still here. That's one good thing.
That's what I was gonna say. The obstacle is the way, but I think I'm thankful for having a vast life experience and being able to rebound really fast. So, yeah, the kid's back. He's been with his grandparents for a couple weeks, and then they were here for a week, and so it's just down to the family and I, or the wife and I, and the kid, and so that's the best part of the week. Hope to have some time to enjoy that. And
family union.
go on.
Yeah.
So,
No.
anyways, but yeah, but no, yeah, that's,
How was that? So you just got rid of your kid for like 2 weeks, and you just
He found his way back again. So
live like a normal person again for briefly.
You don't know Richard that well.
No. I wish. I'm working on that, but no, I've never mastered that. So, anyways,
I hope you never do. I mean,
yeah,
not to shite, put out your candle, but yeah, I think in a world where Richard's doing normal shit, I don't want any part of that, really, to be honest with you. So, I mean, sucks to be you. Sorry, but dance monkey, yeah. So,
no, actually, most of the time it's really fun to me. So, yeah, just occasionally you just have to, what do you call, cut some stuff loose and do a little restructuring.
Yes, not always easy, but yeah.
I never enjoy it because I'm usually really invested in it. But then a lot of times I wake up and realize that everybody around me is not equally invested in it. And it's yeah. So
there's that.
I was seeing the signs earlier. It used to take me 10, 15 years to figure it out. Now I can figure it out in a couple of years. So
damn, that's a vast improvement. That's like orders of magnitude better.
That's why I'm very thankful for all my life experiences.
As we all should be. Yeah. That's damn deep thoughts by Jack Andy right there. Yeah. Thanks, Brad. Yeah. Mr. Joel, what do you got for us there, good sir?
Segment about what? Our week?
Best thing of the week. Let's end this sumbitch on a high note.
Yeah. My week's been just pretty much dominated by Oregon State basketball.
That's pretty good. If they could rebound and make free throws, we'd still be talking about it. But yeah, good.
Unfortunately, I kind of wrote them off early in the season because
everybody did, dude.
Here's another shitty season. I didn't watch them again until the last game of the Pac-12 tournament, and then they went on this run. It was incredible. It was neat watching them play really well.
Yeah, and on a national level too. It was really cool.
It was a weird experience watching them in the Elite Eight game yesterday because they were so frustrating to watch at a lot of times, like the boneheaded turnovers and whatnot. But they made a game of it and whatever. Like it was a great season. You can't. It's interesting to see them lose and then be like, "Good, you guys did great."
Yeah, absolutely.
Without winning all, like if like Oregon State baseball goes to the World Series and loses in the first game or first two games, like that's a disappointment.
Yeah.
But with the basketball team, that was incredible.
Well, they haven't been that far since forever and a day. Yeah. So it was a winnable game. I watched it. They could have won.
Yeah.
They definitely could have won. Which part of me
said that zone they were running in the second half, and then they gave it up. They quit doing it within the last 2 minutes. Like, why'd you stop doing that?
Shit for rebounds. Like they were getting their ass kicked, and then they switched to the zone. They get more rebounds, and then they were missing free throws left, right, and center. But it was really that was both hurt them bad. But they a great comeback second half too. They were down by 17 going into the half, so it was really cool. So I think they showed a lot of grit. I was proud to see him go do that. So it was pretty cool. I have to agree. My best thing of the week is it's so superficial, but I don't care. I like NASCAR. I used to watch it all the time. I haven't watched it in quite a while. I started watching again this season. This past week, they raced at Bristol, Tennessee, which is one of the coolest tracks there is. It's a half-mile track, which is really small in NASCAR. Huge stadium. It usually holds 110 or 15,000 people, I think. It's absolutely insanity. This particular weekend, though, they turned what was normally an asphalt racetrack. They turned it back into a dirt racetrack, which is where a lot of these guys started from, and which I've watched a lot of cool dirt racing and have been involved in. So, they're pitching sideways around the corner, but they're driving their regular everyday NASCARs. They just kind of put some different tires on it and adjust the suspension. So to see him go back, it got rained out Sunday, but they did it on Monday. So Monday was awesome sports day for me between NASCAR, and basketball. But dirt track racing at Bristol was really cool to watch, to see some of these guys getting their ass kicked. It was way cool, and I like that dirt track racing. So somewhat superficial, but I would say if I had to capitalize up in like Monday Sports Day was probably one of the better ones in a long time, and that's because of all that. So I'll keep it simple for this week on that one. But yeah. So anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Rawls, are you awake? You alive?
Oh yeah.
I can tell the man's a firecracker, boys. Just pure raw energy, folks. Pure raw energy. We can't even really keep him on the screen. It just vibrates too much to even get a good picture. Yeah. So
his chair is too comfortable. That's
yeah,
the problem.
I think that's part of the problem. Damn it, Kyle. Yeah. Sound off like you got a pair. Guys, this has been a tremendous episode. It's been fun as hell. Our poor listeners, I think they're going to have fun keeping up with us. I'm going to have a hell of a time just getting the description wrote down of what happens and when. I'll certainly do my best. I'll encourage all the folks to, track us down, follow us. Special thanks again to B&K Auto and Pendleton Mixer and Cigar. Don't forget our new segment, Buying Stuff. If you are thinking about buying something, please let us know. We'll do our best to help guide you any way we can possible, or at least provide some input. Or if you just want to hear us talk about it, maybe you're not going to buy it at all. You're just like, what do you a-holes think about that? Please do. If you have an album you'd like to submit us, and like, hey, you guys should listen to this and talk about it too, we'd be more than happy to do that also. So we're really here to help entertain you and make the day go by. And hopefully we think a little bit like you do, and hopefully we don't. So, with those words of wisdom, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. And in the meantime, make sure you find us, like us, and follow us, and share us, and love us. And we'll try to do the same for you. So until then, keep on reaching, and we'll see y'all soon.